we'll find out in a second if we're live. All right. According to this, I'm live on YouTube. And live on Twitch. Can't complain. Looks good. And let's see if it shows me. Show me if I'm live. Okay, it does. Cool. And it's got the thumbnail and everything. I figured it out finally. Finally, after so friggin' long. And then we can just go live on TikTok, and that'll make life easier. Hello, Gina. How are you doing? Welcome. Hope you're doing well. Going live on TikTok now. And Resident Evil 2 Hardcore. Jumpscares. Oh, Jumpscares doesn't work. And then here. I'm good, Gina. I'm good. Just here hanging out. I'm really tired today. It's been a really long week. I had to take over for my brother for a little while because he went on vacation or whatever. And so, of course, can't do it. Oh well, whatever. We'll just auto screenshot. It doesn't really matter anyway. Let's go live on TikTok. My brother went on vacation, and so I had to take over for him while he was away. And it was pretty exhausting just working as much as I have been. Late nights every night, early-ish mornings. And today, it hit me like a truck. I was starting to fall asleep right before dropping Alana off, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to come home and like take a little bit of a rest. But then I was like, no, then I'm going to get up too late, and I'm just going to feel like poop trying to get the stream going. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to start, and hopefully the scares will get me going. But I hope you're doing well. I hope everybody's doing well. YouTube is good. Twitch is good. Let me check TikTok. TikTok, you don't stop. All right, TikTok seems to be working as well. Okay. Yeah, I worked out a few things on TikTok. I've been working on YouTube a little bit. Obviously, the stream is kind of whatever on YouTube right now because we're doing the chatting screen, but the gameplay screen, I added a bit of a better cutout for the window. But I spent some time today on TikTok, on my TikTok stream, and I've got that set up, and it looks pretty good now. I've got like a frame and everything now, so it looks much neater than it was earlier, which I'm really happy about it. Nice, Gina. I'm really glad you both are doing well. Hope life isn't too stressful, because it's pretty crazy sometimes. But yes, we've been playing some Resident Evil 2. I was really excited because Dead Space comes out tomorrow, but then all the reviews went live today, so I got really excited thinking that the game was live, but it's not yet. It's tomorrow, and I can't stream it tomorrow, which really sucks. I mean, I could, but I'm gonna be way too tired. But yeah, I'm really excited about that. I might quit this and start Dead Space, the remaster or remake, next week, because I've heard it's really good. I heard it got done really well. Callisto Protocol was the one I was hoping was going to be really good, but then it turns out that Dead Space was really good and Callisto Protocol was bad. So I'm definitely going to want to try Dead Space. And I got a YouTube payout, which I haven't had in forever, so perfect timing because I can get that game. I really want to try it. We all know Dead Space got a lot of screams out of me, so hopefully it'll get some more screams out of me soon. Was stressed out a little bit. Oh no, that's all you can do. It really sucks because sometimes you just wish that there was like an easy fast forward button or like something somebody could say to just kind of melt away some of that stress. But sometimes it's the only thing you can do is just kind of take it as it comes. You know, I don't know if you were around when I was talking about it, but just recently, about 3 months ago, so I bought a car brand new, like right off the line before COVID started, right before COVID started actually, and then the engine died. The engine blew out on me, and then they gave me the runaround to get it fixed. It was under warranty. It turns out they have a ton of problems with these engines, so it was about 2.5 months before they actually got me my car back. By the time they got it back to me and how badly they treated me, I just decided I didn't want to deal with them anymore, so I got rid of the car. I sold it. I ended up with some debt because the car was worth less than what it was, what I was owing on the loan. But I sold it. Then I bought a used, like, garbage car with my plan being I'll keep it for 2 years, run it to the ground, and then that'll give me time to kind of recoup the money I lost on the car I sold. And because I don't have to do a lot of maintenance because I'm going to run it to the ground, I'll save up some money and I can buy a nicer car. And then 2 months after that, that car died. And it really sucked because I wasn't in a spot. I had just spent all this money, and in order to get another car, I would have had to pay back the money that I owed on the first car. So I had no choice but to do that, and then I had to put a down payment on this car. Like, it was just one thing after another. It was about 4 months of just, like, continual stress, not knowing where I was going to, find money to make this all happen. In the end, I ended up having to, like, put myself into some pretty deep debt just to get out of all the problems I was in. Thankfully, now I'm kind of digging my way out, but long story to say, sometimes it just feels like it gets worse and worse and worse, but eventually it slowly builds up and it gets better. So all I can really say is just, like, keep your head up. Keep working on it. Hyper, how you doing? Merle, hello. No worries. Lurk away, Merle. If Merle's not listening, Merle is like one of the hottest people on the planet. And she's not listening, so she'll never know that I have a giant internet crush on Merle. Oh, Gina, it's no big deal now. But I'm just using it as an example to kind of give you that little bit of, it might suck right now and it might feel like it gets worse and worse, but it gets better eventually. It does. Is it muted on your side, guys? Lawless, you can't hear me. Okay, let me double check. Haha, there is no sound. Thank you. What happened? Why is TikTok not giving me sound? That is really weird. It switched. Ah. You know what? Okay. Hopefully now you can hear me. Can you hear me? No, still nothing. Huh. Okay. Did that fix it? Okay, so now TikTok should be having sound, but I hope it's not echoey. Okay, so now TikTok... Okay, TikTok has sound. TikTok has sound. Thank you, Lawless. I appreciate that. So I've been using my... YouTube, Twitch, TikTok had no sound. I've been using my Oculus Rift... my Oculus Quest, Meta Quest, whatever. And my Minecraft stopped working, so I was trying to figure that out. Skylanders Boy, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. So I've been trying to figure that out, and in the process, I unplugged stuff and plugged stuff back in. So when I did that, TikTok's live studio switched my audio input, and it changed it to just default, but my default is the broadcast, so I don't know why it wasn't picking it up, but right now I just switched it to the broadcast manually, and now it's working. So I appreciate that, Lawless. I don't know if you're still here, but I appreciate that, Lawless. Thank you so much. Tyrese, I think? Flare, there's a big line through it, sorry. Thank you so much for the roses. I appreciate that. I'm doing well. Work has been stressful lately, but last night went well. Nice. Having a night off is always really nice, Hyper. It's always really nice. It is the calm before the storm. Yes, Gina, absolutely. Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're finally like coming up with a plan on how to fix things, and then something else goes wrong, and it's just like you feel like you get overwhelmed, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. That's kind of what happened with me when the first car died. It was the overwhelming feeling of like, what do I do? Because I need to work. I need my car to work. And without my car, I can't work. But they're not willing to fix it. And then they finally say, yes, we're going to fix it. And then they go, we're not going to give you a rental. And they say, well, how do I work if I don't have a car? And they won't give me a rental. But it's your responsibility because it's your crap car. So it was just like a huge thing. And it just kept getting worse. And then I finally get the car back. And I said, forget it. I'm going to sell it. Trying to get rid of that problem, even though I knew I was going to take on a bigger debt. Then I buy this used car. And then it dies. It's like, it was just... Sometimes it just feels like it gets worse and worse, but don't let that overwhelm you. You will figure it out. Things will smooth out, I promise. Do I speedrun games? The only game I ever used to speedrun was Mario 64, and I wasn't very good at it. I think my PB was 22 minutes. I was on path to get under 20. I was on path to like 19 minutes, and then I froze. I was on the final Bowser fight, and I completely froze. And that was all on me. That was a complete, just like getting completely freaked out. Dirk, thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate that. Anybody watching on TikTok, I am live on Twitch and YouTube, same name as it is here. Anybody on Twitch and YouTube and has TikTok, I am live on TikTok as well. So I'm on all 3 platforms, actually. Dakota, I appreciate that. I remember your name. Yeah, we're still playing Elden Ring. We actually beat Margit. We leveled up a little bit. And then I had to stop the stream. It was only like an hour and a half long stream. It was a pretty short stream last time. But hopefully I'll be live tomorrow doing that. It's going to be a little bit later than it has been because I have to go to Costco. We're out of meat and I need to go get meat. And so we got to go to Costco tomorrow. And the only time I can really go is when I get up. Alana is still awake. She stays up all night. We both work night shift, and so she stays up all night, and then she goes to bed when I get up, and so she's gonna stay up. I'm gonna get up a little bit earlier, and we're both gonna go to Costco and come back, and then I have to pick up Nora from school. So after she's picked up from school, I'll probably go live, play a little bit of Elden Ring. If not tomorrow during the day, it'll probably be around this time. I'm not 100% sure. It kind of depends on how the day goes. Yeah, it's so annoying, Hyper. And it used to, like, I'm on Windows 11, so I think it's a Windows 11 issue, but on Windows 10, it used to automatically switch for me. Like, if I would plug in my Quest, it would go right to the audio on there, and then when I would unplug it, it would go right back to my PC. Now it doesn't do that with Windows 11, and so it's really frustrating. And what I was saying with Minecraft, for some reason, it just stopped working, and I don't know why. So, like, I wiped everything off my computer as far as, like, Quest and Minecraft and all that. I'm all doing fresh installs. Hopefully that'll fix it. If that doesn't fix it, I might take the weekend and completely wipe the computer and go back to Windows 10 instead of 11, because this has been a bit more of a hassle than I needed. How do I read all the chats on all the platforms? So I've got Restream Chat. It's an app that I downloaded that's from the Restream website, and it unites all chats onto one. TikTok doesn't have integration with Restream right now, so I have the TikTok Live Studio up, and I have that chat and the Restream chat side by side. And so that way I have all chats in one and then TikTok on its own. So it at least gives me a little bit of organization, but that's how I watch all the streams and chats, and I miss half the messages, but that just happens when you have viewers that are chatty. Because you can have like 6 viewers who talk a lot and it can be really hard to follow, or you can have 30 viewers that don't really talk and it's super easy to follow. So it just kind of comes with the territory, missing chat messages. Heck yeah. Oh, Brock, you have no idea what I'm doing. I can't show you it because it's my display capture and it's not on the right screen, but I have Streamlabs OBS open with my webcam on it. And then I have OBS open, capturing my Streamlabs OBS window so I could use the webcam on OBS. I've got my TikTok Live open, capturing the Streamlabs OBS window so I can use the camera on that one. So that way they both get the full quality camera. And then I have both TikTok Studio and OBS actually streaming out. OBS is streaming to Restream, so that one can go to Twitch and YouTube, and then TikTok Live Studio goes to TikTok. I've got TikTok Live Studio, not compressing, I can't remember what the word is, but like doing all the encoding on my CPU, and then I've got OBS encoding on my GPU, so that way each one takes its own load to encode. I'm pushing my computer pretty hard, and I'm playing Resident Evil on PC, so like I'm really pushing my computer hard. I've limited everything to 720p, pretty low bit rate, just to make it a little bit more feasible. Until Restream finds a way to do TikTok as well. For now, this is the only way I can get all 3 to work, and for it to work on all 3, because I'm sure you've seen it. People that are streaming on Twitch and YouTube have just like the screen capture of Twitch and YouTube, and then it looks really tiny on TikTok. I've formatted it so that way TikTok is specific for TikTok and YouTube and Twitch are specific for YouTube and Twitch, and you can watch it based on the platform you're on. Thank you, Barack. I actually was doing pretty well. Not like partner level well, but I was doing pretty well. I was on, whoops. Oh, it's okay. I was averaging about 30-ish viewers per stream. At my peak, I was averaging like 60 plus per stream. And then I just stopped streaming. And so that kind of just killed all the momentum. But I mean, you can see here on TikTok, I've got a decent following. 137,000 is decent. It's not huge, but it's decent. And I'm only now getting back into the groove of streaming all the time and making content and kind of finding that balance again. So it's one of those things that when you gain the momentum, you can keep it going pretty easily. But if you gain it and stop it, it's really hard to build it up again. And that's kind of where I am right now, is rebuilding it all. Yeah, it's so annoying, Hyper. It's so annoying. I totally get it. I totally get it. When one piece of software doesn't want to switch, it makes such a headache for everything else to work. All right, so I guess we're gonna get started. We're gonna continue with Resident Evil. Anybody who's never been here for when I do Resident Evil, it hasn't really been that bad, because I've played this a couple of times now, so I'm not as freaked out. I've also got all the lights on tonight. I'm really tired, so I didn't want to go into the dark, because that just kind of drains my energy. But it allows me to be more scared when it's in the dark, so I get less scared when all my studio lights are on and stuff. My studio lights. So it probably won't be as jump scare filled as usual. But I do tend to scream when I get freaked out, so just be prepared if you're wearing headphones or whatever. You might hear me scream. I don't mean to pop your ears, but it happens. Sometimes we have certain viewers that come in on Twitch and YouTube who I have a jump scare donation on Twitch and YouTube, and they'll come in and do that just to get me to scream. So just be prepared. You might hear those things happen. I think they work on TikTok, but I'm not 100% sure. You can't trigger them on TikTok. You can hear them on TikTok, but I'm not 100% sure. Right now, I only know how to trigger them off of Twitch and YouTube. I don't know how to trigger them on TikTok for the time being anyway. Same thing. Retro for the first time on everything. Yeah, it was there was a time there where it was pretty good, and then it slowed down. And you know, at the beginning when I first started streaming, like years and years and years ago, when I was like more of a Nintendo streamer, I don't really have it so much. I have it a little bit on some of my merch, but I used to be like almost all Nintendo stuff. Not that I was a Nintendo channel. It's just I did Mario, I did Mario Maker, I did Mario Kart, and I did Zelda a lot on my channel, and then I did retro stuff. When I used to do that, there was a point there where I was averaging like 60 viewers per stream when I did Mario Maker, and then when I did like Mario Kart or Zelda, it was like 25 to 35, and so it was always a pretty high number. And then it really slowed down once I didn't take it as seriously, and then I blew up on TikTok a little bit, so I took it really seriously again, and again I got it up to like 30, 35 people, and then I just really backed off on TikTok, and the streams kind of got really like it was too much. I was doing too much at once, plus I was working and commuting, so then I just kind of let everything go and let it all fall apart. So the numbers have been really slow lately. I am averaging about 30 viewers right now, but it's across all three. So between YouTube and Twitch, it's usually about 14 to 15 people watching, and then on TikTok, it usually settles at about 15 people watching. On good days, it's like 50 people watching. So I can get decent crowds. It's just never gigantic, and it's never too crazy. It tends to be pretty quiet, so it's nice to not have a chat that's completely like a waterfall, but sometimes it can get pretty crazy in here. Thank you, Dakota. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's been a really slow progress to get the setup to look decent. On TikTok, all I've really done is just kind of make an overlay, but as far as my background goes, Barack, thank you so much for that follow. I really appreciate that. Sorry, just plugging in my Xbox controller. As far as like the background is concerned, this has been a really slow progress. Like my original background was just a green screen because I didn't have a background. I was set up in my living room, and I lived in an apartment that was really barren. Like it was an old mansion that got converted, and it was like a proper mansion. Like I'm talking one of those ones with like the big chandelier in the kitchen, and you know, like the giant dining room that you would have like a 15-foot table type of thing. And my living room was what used to be the dining room for the mansion, and so it was like this big empty room. So I used to use a green screen, but I had like a little tiny shelf with like 10 NES games and a couple of toys on top of it, and that was like my whole background. And then little by little, I collected some stuff. Alana bought me stuff for like my birthday or Christmas or whatever, and some viewers sent me stuff in, and so little by little I built all that stuff up. That was actually sponsored by a company that makes neon lights, so that was really cool. And then, you know, I eventually upgraded my camera, and I got a nicer microphone and all that, but this took years. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now, so this has been a really slow progress to get to where I am now. A rich retro. No, just patient retro. Just patient retro. You have to do it at super tense moments. Exactly, Dirk. Exactly. And that's what happens. I get freaked right out when I'm like super intense, and then it blows me up. There was one guy who always tried to get me when I was off guard, but the problem was he would always try when it was like a really relaxed moment, and says like, yeah, I was off guard, but it wasn't I didn't have any tension built up to let go, so it would scare me, but it wasn't the same as like when I was really tense. The best would be like right when I knew something bad was about to happen. So like if I'm like, oh my god, I know if I go out there I'm gonna die, and then they would jump scare me, that's when it does it. But this other guy would be like, oh, I'm in a safe room. All right, guys, everything's good. And then he would jump scare me, and it's like, it's not the same. You gotta wait till I'm tense, not when I'm relaxed. But yeah, the background, it took a long time. It took a really long time. Even this is just from yesterday. I've had this TV for a while, but I don't watch TV when I'm in bed. And so it was originally a TV for the bedroom, but I don't really watch TV when I'm in bed anymore. I used to, because I used to have a lot of trouble sleeping, so I would watch TV. But now I don't really watch TV in my room, and so it just kind of sat there. I actually had it on the floor, just kind of collecting dust. And then I have the projector screen, but I don't like playing on the projector. I don't like watching things on the projector because I have to turn off all the lights. It's got a really loud fan. It's one of those cheap Chinese Amazon ones. So, you know, the quality's not great. It's fine. Like, it's good for watching a movie or whatever, but it's not fine for, like, watching Twitch or YouTube or, like, just watching TV in general. And so I decided to pull that out, and I put it there in front of the projector, and now it's kind of on camera. So right now, it's just kind of playing a background image of Roku or whatever. It's not really going to be visible once I'm... Well, actually, it might be. Why don't I do this? Hold on. Now you reminded me of this. That's my old stream. I'm gonna do Streamception here. Hold on. Can it show me my own videos? Like, show me my channel. I want to see my channel. It's not showing me my videos that it doesn't show me that I'm live now. That kind of sucks. Oh well, I'll just put this one on. I'll just play in the background. But yeah, now that it's kind of there, it just gives something to have in the background, which is nice. And then my arcade that I went to the States to buy. And then the rest is just like random toys and stuff. None of it's actually like organized. Like, you know how some people have like really nice video games all set up nicely? No, mine's just all a bunch of random stuff. Like, that's Walking Dead up there. That's Resident Evil 8 stuff. Down there is just a bunch of like little toys. A couple of amiibos and a couple of just like random collectibles. Over here I've got like NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, or not GameCube, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 2 games just all randomly piled up there. And then like Dragon Ball stuff at the top. Like, it's just all random. But, you know, I set it all up. Brett, you terrified me. How you been, Brett? How are things going? Oh, Dirk, me too. The original, yes, user. I've actually played the original on GameCube. What else do I own it on? I owned it on the Wii. I own it on the computer, and then I just recently beat it on the Oculus. Like about 2 months ago, I beat it on the Oculus. I'm really looking forward to the remake. It's good to see you too. It's good to see you too, Brett. Yeah, Dirk. I was like, I've wanted an arcade since I was a kid. I'm a 90s kid, right? So I grew up going to the arcade, and I've always wanted an arcade, and my dream arcade was the TMNT one. Then they made it when they like boosted up the price to stupid prices, so I never got one of those. But then I saw this one with Ghosts and Goblins in it, and I really like Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And when I saw that, it was an American only. They didn't sell it in Canada, at least at the time that it was out originally. It wasn't available in Canada, and I lived about an hour and a half away from the border, so I drove an hour and a half across the border to the Walmart that was near the border just to pick that up, and then drove back just to get it because it wasn't available in Canada. And I'm super happy I have it. Really wish I had the TMNT one. That would have been the one that I would have wanted, but I couldn't justify spending like $700 on an arcade with like 2 games on it. It just wasn't worth it for me, so I didn't get it, but I wish I could. All right, I guess we'll get started. I've been chatting a whole lot. Let's start getting scared. I'm really not excited about getting scared, but let's do it. I'm hoping the volume will be okay. We'll find out in a minute. Oh. Yeah, I was super excited to drive out there to get it. I don't ever really go to the States. I used to go a lot when I was younger, but it was more with my parents. My dad really liked to take road trips, and so we would always go to the States. He has family that lives in Boston, and they live in New Hampshire. And so we would go and see all the family almost every year. And my mom had an aunt who lived in like my great aunt who lived in New York, and so we would always go visit her. And so we were in the States all the time, and then we would travel back home, and so we would go for, you know, it was like it's supposed to be like a 10-day trip, 11-day trip. But my dad was never well organized, so usually it turned into like a 15-day trip. The worst was 23 days it took us to get there. So we traveled a lot, but on my own, I never go to the States. But that was a good reason to go to the States, because I really wanted one of those arcades, like desperately, and I'm so glad I have it. Okay, here we go. So I don't remember what we were actually doing. She asked us to come down here, but I don't know why. Okay. Yeah, whatever. We'll just go like this. I'm really excited for Resident Evil 4, though. I think it's gonna be awesome. I'm hyped for Dead Space. Like, I'm so hyped for Dead Space. I wish it would have been out today so I could have played it on stream. And now I'm gonna have to wait all week to play it next week. Oh, are you in one of those towns that's like that technically doesn't have any kind of border protection? It's just like on your word you won't cross. I saw one town where like the houses were actually right on the border, so like an American would be living in their house in the States, but then their cars would be parked in Canada on the driveway because the border actually cuts through the middle of their property. It's always hard for me to like judge if the volume is okay. I'm hoping the volume is okay. Seems like, yeah. TikTok seems to drop frames quite a bit. Like it really compresses the frame rate. Oh wait, this is where we came from, isn't it? Yeah, this is where we came from. TikTok really compresses the frame rate for some reason. It's really weird. Like it looks like it's running at less than 30 frames a second on TikTok, yet YouTube is running perfectly at 60. But yeah, Dakota, I live like right at the border now. I used to live about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from the border. Now I live right at it. Which kind of sucks because with phone carriers, it can be a total nightmare because it'll constantly tell me that I'm roaming. Thankfully, I was able to set it up so it would just block roaming completely from my phone, so it just won't connect to anything else except for Canadian companies. But for a while there, it was really annoying because I would be getting like messages on a regular basis of, you're roaming, be careful, you might have charges. You're roaming, be careful. It's like, dude, I'm literally sitting in my house. Left is in the US. Yeah. It probably is your town. It probably is your town. Good, everybody. Keep my secret from Merle. Don't tell her what I said. Merle doesn't need to know. Have a safe bike ride, Merle. I feel like something bad happens here. I feel like something bad happens here. Ooh, I knew it!
Again?
It's not too late to turn back, Leon.
Nothing,
No
Merle.
chance. You're stuck with me to the end.
You don't need to know. You need to ride your bike carefully. Watch for traffic.
Ugh. You sure this is the right way?
Unfortunately.
Wouldn't you like to know, Merle?
there.
Wouldn't you like to know? There is no traffic. Oh, crap.
Get out of there!
I hate this because I can't see where I'm going. Oh, God. Ah!
Holy shit!
He ate me. You said it, Leon. He became it, too. He became it right after he said it. I forgot to change the ear cuffs on my, whoops, on my headphones. Move, lady. See, okay, if y'all were here when I was playing Elden Ring, I was mentioning how I kept pushing into the joystick to run, and all it did was make me sneak. Now I'm pressing B to run, and all it does is nothing in this game. I don't know why my brain just decides this game is B to run and Elden Ring is pushing the joystick to run. I hate this part so much just because it's so cheap. You can get tripped up so easily.
Again?
It's not too late to turn back, Leon.
No chance. You're stuck with me to the end.
There we go.
You sure this is the right way?
Unfortunately.
Wait there.
Here we go.
Leon! Get out of there!
And you shut off the game because you were so mad because it's so cheap. Hey, we're getting raided, but I can't see it. Hold on. Hold on. Alligator's gonna eat me. What the heck? Who raided me? Who raided me? I didn't even see it. Oh, I can't see it. Why can't I see who raided me? Hold on. Can I back up on here? Hold on. I rewounded. I rewounded. That guy Kai with the raid. Thank you so much. How you doing? How are you? Does it say did it switch it to Elden Ring? It wasn't supposed to. It's supposed to say Resident Evil. I switched it to Resident Evil. How you doing? Thank you for the raid. I really appreciate that. Welcome everybody who came in on that raid. How was your stream? What were you playing? What were you doing? I really appreciate that. I'm good. I'm good. Just dying on this part. But I have a feeling that I did it wrong. I was trying to avoid the boxes, but it looks like I have to be more interested in avoiding the alligator and not the boxes. Oh, I haven't gotten that far in Elden Ring. All I've done, I've streamed it 3, maybe 4 times. I feel like it was 3 times, but everybody was saying it was 4, so it might have been 4. My memory sucks. And all I've done was beat Margit and the one guy that's in the well that you fight with that wolf guy.
You're stuck with me.
I don't know the names of the characters, but that's all I've done. The rest of the time was me just wandering around trying to level up and constantly dying.
You sure this is the right way?
Oh, the remake is so good. It was such a worthy remake. The first one's a great classic just for being like a typical like B-level horror movie. This one is a worthy remaster because now it's a serious horror movie. Like, it's great. I love it. There we go. Okay, I gotta pay attention. Gotta pay attention. Let's do this.
Leon! Get out of
But thank you for the raid. I really appreciate that. That's super kind of you. Go, 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 go. Okay, so as long as I dodge him, it doesn't matter. I went into him that time. I went right into his mouth that time. Yeah, Kai, it's I've been live for about a month and a week now. A little bit over, maybe a month and 2 weeks, something like that. I stopped for over a year, and then I just suddenly came back. It was one of those things where I was like, I was debating about going live because I wasn't acting, I wasn't doing music. TikTok, I was not really paying much attention to TikTok, and then I switched jobs, so I had all morning to myself because Alana would sleep all day, Nora was at school, and I would get up and I would just kind of twiddle my thumbs for a few hours, and it was just like dead air for me. And so I was like, you know what, I could start streaming just to kind of get things going, and so that was kind of my plan. And then just one day I started setting stuff up, and then I let it sit for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live tomorrow. And then I just went live, and now I've been consistent for the most part. Ugh, this is so frustrating. But I'm actually live on all three, Kai. I'm live on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitch. I went from doing nothing and having a bunch of time on my hands to, like, trying to do it all, which may not be the best idea, but I'm, like... I've gone to the point where I'm going super casual about it all. I'm not trying to become a full-time content creator. I'm not even trying to make money doing this anymore. Any like subs or donations that I get have now been, you know, earmarked for games for the stream. And that's about it. I'm not looking to actually make money doing this anymore. So it's been a real stress reliever actually, despite doing more channels. It's a less stressful way to go about things because like right now, TikTok's sitting with 3. And it's not bothering me at all. And between YouTube and Twitch, I'm sitting at 9. So in total, 12 people. And I'm not feeling that stress of like, it's not enough people. I need more viewers. What am I doing wrong? Eh.
Wait there.
Okay, here we go again. Here we go again. Although sometimes it is really cool. Like on TikTok, about 2-3 weeks ago, I had like over 120 people watching me. It was pretty cool. No worries, Kai. Go do your thing.
Get out of there!
Here we go. Here we go. Hopefully, Joe, I don't quit. Go, 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 go.
Holy shit!
Amen, Leon. Amen. Okay. Last time I tried to go around, and he got me. This time I tried to, like, stay to the side, and he got me. Now I gotta try the other side. This reminds me of, like, old school NES games where the only way to, like, get past the level is just memorize what places to be standing when things were happening. This is totally what that is. No worries, Kai. No worries. No worries at all. Okay. But yeah, I've made like no progress on Elden Ring. There was one guy that came back in. He's like, I was here last weekend. You're still in the same spot. Yeah.
No chance.
Yeah.
You're stuck with me to the end.
But now I feel like I've actually made a little bit of proper progress. Because, you know, that open field kind of just feels aimless for a while, right? And so I was just kind of wandering around, and then I'd get stuck. And so I'd like head in a different direction because I was like, no, I'm underpowered for this area. I'll head to another area. And I'd head to another area and I would feel underpowered. And the thing is, every time I would die, I would leave my runes or whatever they're called. And so I was just not leveling up. And so of course I wasn't getting any stronger until I finally dedicated like a whole stream to just leveling up. And now I've beaten Margit. Now I can check the castle, which I feel like I'm actually doing something now. So I'm really excited to actually make progress in that game for once. Ah, Falcon, good night.
Holy shit!
Yes. Yeah, Kai, I actually played a lot of Dark Souls games on the stream. Oh god. Okay. Whew. Bros. I did a lot of Dark Souls games, and I was actually playing Dark Souls 1. I was doing a 1-stat challenge on my own.
Chew on
And then...
overgrown son of a bitch.
That's so rude. And then WeWin bought me Elden Ring. I wasn't planning to buy it. Everybody that came in, they'd be like, well, have you played Elden Ring? Have you played Elden Ring? And they'd all get really upset that I hadn't. But But my plan was, I'm getting a couple of subs here and there. So I was like, I'm making probably about $15 a month. Like, so in like 4 or 5 months, I'll buy it. It'll be fine. And then we went and came and bought it. She's like, you have to play this. She knew that I love the Soulsborne game, so she got it for me. But the buttons are just, I'm using the layout that it just assigned to me. But the buttons are just like slightly different. And so it was really hard for me to kind of grasp fully how to play just because the slight differences in the buttons. And then because it's open world and there's no like Dark Souls is you can choose your own path, but once you like start the path, you can just follow the path. There's no real like you can't just wander around aimlessly, right? Like if you go through that doorway, the only way you can keep going is until you reach the boss. Whereas Elden Ring is very much like you can go north, but then like anywhere north. You can go northeast, northwest, northeast. And so it's like that was very overwhelming for me to kind of grasp where to even go. And then when you're streaming, it's really hard to pay attention to what little clues they give you, plus chat and all that stuff. So I was really lost for a while. So even though I've been playing a lot of Soulsborne games, I just wasn't getting it. But now I'm getting closer. What I started doing is I made a secondary account, a secondary character, and I'm replaying what I did on stream. I'm playing it privately to just catch up, just so I can experience what's happening and so I can pay attention to what I missed during the stream and then feel more of what's going on in the game, which is helping. Not a lot, but it's helping. Oh man, we got it. That's all that matters. Yeah, Kai. And like, I normally don't want spoilers. I really dislike spoilers. I was so lost that the last stream I had a couple of people come in and they were really helping me through, not so much telling me what to do, but not so much telling me like what bosses to fight or anything. They'd be teasing me. They'd be like, there's a dragon, you need to fight the dragon. But like one guy helped me on where to go to get a few easy runes so I could level up a little bit. Somebody sent me to a place to get a little bit of a better weapon because I just had the club. But that's pretty much as far as it's gone because I had wandered around for 3 streams. So now I've told them last stream, I was like, okay, no more help because I want to just try to figure it out at this point. So I'm going to get back to not having any help. But yeah, that can really wreck the game, especially when somebody warns you that there's a boss fight coming around the corner and the surprise of the boss fight is kind of half the fun. Not that I'm asking. And Skimnader. I'm really bad with names. Thank you so much for that follow. I really appreciate that. Welcome to the Retro Squad. Brett, on YouTube, I think in the description, I don't know if it erased. I'm using Restream, so it may have erased it, but on YouTube, there should be in the description a link there that you can click. On Twitch, it should be a panel that can be clicked. Call you Skim. How you doing, Skim? Welcome.
Leon, up here.
Elden Ring was way too hard for you.
Just get up here.
It's definitely not for everybody. It's definitely not for everybody. I've played a lot of Soulsborne games, so I'm accustomed to the difficulty curve, but it's just different enough that I've definitely struggled with it. But if you can get past the initial difficulty and you can kind of figure out what the game expects of you, because dying is just part of it, right? So if you can kind of accept that you're gonna die and that anytime you meet somebody for the first time, there's an excitement of maybe being able to beat them on your first try, but it's almost impossible to, so just expect to die. If you can kind of get that mentality behind you, it can be a lot more enjoyable. Oh, that's so loud. I don't see who that was. Thank you for the duck. Why Nand? We Nand. But yeah, if you can kind of accept that, it makes it a little bit more fun. The fun in the Soulsborne games is getting your butt kicked so many times that when you finally beat that boss that's kicked your butt 15 times, it feels like an achievement. It's not like here. Here, it was just memorize and move forward.
People into monsters, not reptiles.
Fair point. I'm just impressed you made it in one piece.
If you figure out how you host me. Thank you for the baseball cap. Dakota, I think if you are on Twitch and you put /host, then space, then @retro for the first time, that's how you would host. I don't know. I think that's how it's done. I never really hosted on Twitch. Hosting is helpful, but it's not like the end all and be all. Just you hanging out and chatting, honestly, is help enough. You don't have to go too crazy. Falcon, I use the Avermedia HD Gamer 1. I saw your TikTok and I'm just remembering now about it, that you were saying you were getting random black screens. I was getting the same issue, but it was almost, I don't know if you're using like a splitter to like have all your consoles plugged in at the same time, or if you're manually plugging in each console every time you play. My problem, because I was having the same thing with my Razer capture card, and part of it was the Razer capture card. When it first started, it was because my USB port wasn't good enough. Sorry, everybody, a little bit of tech support here. My USB ports weren't powerful enough to run my capture card, so it was actually freezing the capture card because it wasn't providing enough power. And then afterwards, it started doing it because my PlayStation, for some reason, didn't like the splitter. That when I would use the splitter, it would almost like send a surge to the splitter, which would cause the splitter to switch over to a different scene, even when the PlayStation wasn't being used. So I'd be like on my Switch and my PlayStation was plugged in, and then it would switch from my Switch over to the PlayStation for no reason, and it would just be a black screen. So it would do stuff like that. I don't know if that could be your problem, but yeah, I'm using an internal capture card. It's an AverMedia Live Gamer HD, maybe HD2. I can't remember. It's decent. It has almost no input lag, which is great. The quality is good, but the software sucks. Like, the software sucks. The only reason I wouldn't suggest it is that it's a nightmare to try to figure it out. Getting sound from the capture card is a hassle. It's not easy to get sound. The only reason I have sound right now is because when I use I'm not using the capture card at this moment, but when I use the capture card, I actually have to use the output. Like, it has like the headphone jack for an input, and it has a line out. I'm actually using the line out to go into my Go XLR, so the Go XLR will pick up the sound that way, because I can't get it to pick up the sound properly. When it picks up the sound, it's at full volume, and I can't control the volume at all. So it's a nightmare to use software-wise. Besides the audio issue that I have, though, quality is great. I haven't had any problems with it, and you know, no input lag. Like, it's a pretty decent card. It's just the software sucks. AverMedia has really terrible software, and they're kind of renowned for having terrible software, which really sucks. But I only got it because it was on sale. It was between that and an Elgato, and it was $75 off when I bought it, and the Elgato was regular price, so I just kind of went with this one. I figured a workaround, but it's a bit of a headache. Hosting is gone now. Oh, okay, hosting is gone now. I didn't know that. Huh. That sucks. Wait, maybe I did hear about that. I don't know. I wasn't streaming when that happened, so I wasn't paying much attention to what was going on Twitch. That sucks, but it's not... Hosting was good, like, analytics-wise, to show, like, the algorithm that, hey, people are liking this and they want to host it. But it didn't really help any other way, because, like, if I was going to go live to watch, like, Girl Thulu, let's say, and she's not live, and she's hosting somebody, I'm not going to watch them. So I would just, like, shut it off. A rare occasion, maybe I would see something that interested me and I might watch it. But more often than not, if she wasn't live, I wasn't going to watch who she was hosting. So I guess it was kind of useless. Yeah, Falcon, it's capture cards can be really frustrating. But yeah, it might just be that the capture card was no good. Sometimes if something goes wrong, it could just be glitchy. My Razer one, for some reason, my audio stopped working on my Razer capture card. I had it for 2 years before it started dying. The video works perfectly on it, but the audio is completely useless. So now when I do use it, I use it if I have a secondary camera. I use it just for video. I don't use it for audio at all. And it was just that the capture card just died. Preston, I hope you are doing well. Hope life is going good for you today. The thumbnail showing? Yes. I was trying to come up with something more YouTube friendly. The YouTube thumbnails have really changed what's like what works. And so I was going for a little bit more of a modern thumbnail. And it's okay. It's still not great. I was kind of rushing it, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit more eye-catchy than just my logo that it was before. I kind of like it. I wish I could use logos on Twitch or on thumbnails on Twitch and TikTok. I wish I could. All right, Kai, thank you for the raid. Thank you for spending time here, even though you just finished streaming. Have yourself a good night. I'll see you later. But yeah, Falcon, it's streaming hardware can be such a nightmare sometimes. Like I said, my capture card, the audio thing is so stupid. Because, like I said, the only way I can capture audio is at one volume level, and I can't do anything about it to fix it because it has to come through the Windows hardware. And so the only way to turn it down is by turning down all of my system sound, but then all my alerts and everything go down too. And so it's like, it's a complete nightmare to use. I had to use a line out to get the audio. So AverMedia, the quality is great. The colors are great. It runs super, super well. I've never seen it drop frames or anything.
Let me get this straight.
Hey, Girl Thulu, speaking of,
Somebody else's?
I was just talking about you. Welcome.
And Annette is who makes the viruses.
Welcome, everybody. I really appreciate that. Hold on, let me pause. Anybody on Twitch? Yeah, you can see it on Twitch or on TikTok. I just got rated. Welcome, everybody. I really appreciate it. No, I was just talking about... Wait, what did I say about you? Outside of the fact that you're like the most wonderful person ever. No, what did I actually say? I said something about you. Oh my God, what did I say about you? Oh, no, we were talking about hosting. I used you as an example. That's what it was. I used you as an example. We were talking about hosting. They were saying how hosting doesn't exist anymore. And I was saying that like it was fine. Like it helped the analytics see that, oh, people want to share this. They like this. And then I was saying that, you know, like if I, but nobody ever used it. Like if I want to watch Girl Thulu live and she's not live, I'm not going to watch who she's hosting. Unless it's something that really catches my eye, I'm probably not going to watch because I want to watch Girl Thulu, not the person she's hosting. So that's why. It's like I summoned you. It's like I said your name too many times. I was actually lurking today. That game looks really fun. I hope you're feeling better. I heard that you were saying you weren't feeling well. I just didn't want to chat because I was like half asleep. I had you on my TV. But that game looks really fun. I got to look into that because that looks really cool. I was playing a game called Dismantle that had the same kind of like isometric style, I guess, top-down view-ish. Same thing like zombie survival, but that one looked more complex than the one I was playing. It looked really cool though. Did you change your camera angle too? I know like you were on the other side of the screen, but like it looked like there was a different background. You did. Ha! I noticed. See? Okay, you know how like there's always that joke that women will cut their hair and men will never notice, and men always go, "What did you do to your hair? I don't see a difference." For streamers, it's the background. Did you change your background? Non-streamers don't notice it. You didn't since last time. Although last time I was at work, so I wasn't really watching. I had you kind of on my headphones, and I would stop and text and then kind of keep going. So I didn't see it last time. Okay, does this still say Elden Ring? I don't know why. It's not supposed to. So I got rated a few minutes ago, and same thing. The person's like, "You're not playing Elden Ring," and I switched it. I did. I even double checked. I was like, I gotta make sure it says the right name. And it was fine. And then Restream went and changed it. Restream changed the name on the stream. No, on my screen it says, oh, here it is. That's the part it didn't change. So my title is right. And my description thingy is right. The notification thing is right. But the game it chose wasn't right. That's what it is. Yes, Girl Thulu. Send me a picture. Put all the toes in it. Get your husband to show them. Yeah, I've been looking at so many backgrounds. I'm so jealous. Some people have such nice looking backgrounds. I hate it. All the toes. There we go. So anybody who's joining, I'm Luis. I play a variety of stuff. I stream about 3 times a week. Right now we're doing Elden Ring and Resident Evil. I'm live on all 3 platforms. I'm on TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube right now. So you're going to kind of see me talking to people that you may not see. People on Twitch, you will see the YouTube chat on the gameplay screen. YouTube, same thing. You'll see the Twitch chat there too. But you'll not see anybody from TikTok because I haven't found a way to get their chat on screen for everybody to see. And TikTok, same thing goes to you. You're not going to see Twitch and YouTube's chat because the screen is so tiny. I don't want to take up the screen. But TikTok has TikTok to keep themselves company. But yeah, I stream a variety of stuff, usually horror. Right now, horror and Souls-like games. I am planning next week to start Dead Space, the remake. I'm really looking forward to that. I've heard it's really good, and so I want to try it. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I'm really scatterbrained, so I tend to talk a lot, like a stupid amount. A lot of people get really upset at me because I don't play. I pause the game and I just talk.
Definitely William's handiwork.
Identify yourself.
Annette Birkin.
She's who we're looking for?
Not much
That's part of the charm.
Need to dispose of it.
We're here.
You're gonna send me a display capture that's cropped? Yeah, go for it.
That's not gonna happen.
I'm warning you, Doctor.
Oh yeah?
Hey!
Stop! You'll never get the G-Virus!
You'll never take me alive, coppers.
Didn't expect that from a scientist.
Oh, yeah, I could do that.
Leon.
Forget about me. Just go.
I just didn't know how to like
It's away.
organize it so it wouldn't take up too much of the screen. Like right now, it's dead. There's not a lot of chat going on TikTok. The only time chat really goes alive is if I've got like a crazy number of people watching, because then like nobody really wants to type on that little screen. So usually if there's like 40 people watching, then like 4 or 5 people will talk. But if there's like 4 or 5 people watching, it's usually just put it on and kind of watch. So I try not to worry about it too much.
It's not on her. It must be in the nest.
Ugh.
Once it's in hand, I'll call for extraction.
Sounds like ordering at McDonald's. The drive-thru. So, right now that the
You can run,
Dr. Birkin,
Annette.
Annette Birkin showed up, I've been watching a lot of Lost lately. When I'm at work, there's a part of my job that I use a machine for about an hour. And so I just like put my phone on the machine and I download shows and I just watch them. And so I've been watching Lost lately because I haven't watched that since I was just graduating high school. I might have been in college actually when I watched it. But anyway, started watching it again. She reminds me of one of the characters.
Can't hide.
It'll never make sense to me why they always have to take the characters that you're supposed to find very attractive and they always have to dress them in the most
It's secret weapon time.
useless outfits. Like, I get it. It's sexy, whatever. But like, she's gonna go off to do some like spy mission where she knows she's gonna be fighting zombies. Let me put on the tightest dress possible with these little high heels so I can't run, I can't kick, and I'm gonna be constantly just like restrained. And I can speak from experience because I've done shows where I wear skin tight stuff and just like the lack of mobility drives me crazy. And she goes in to do that. Like she could have been wearing something a little bit more tactical. Ridiculous. Okay.
Candy from a baby.
It would, Merle. It would. I hated wearing heels. I hated them so much. For anybody who's just joining and doesn't know anything about me, that don't know any of my history, I was an actor. And yes, I technically still am. And I did a lot of shows, like a variety of shows. And one of the shows that I did was a Rocky Horror Show. So I had to wear heels. And I had to learn to use them. And I hate them so much. So don't think I'm like making this up just to like be judgmental. I have experience and I hated them. I hated them so much because you just never feel confident in them. I applaud any person I see walking with heels and can dominate those things because they are a nightmare to be confident in. I try. Cotus. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with names. I'm really, really bad with names. Yeah, I and that's kind of the whole thing for me is, I always use the same joke. You know, stand-up comedy, you know, stand-up comics, how they use like the same comebacks because they kind of get all the same heckles. And so they have comebacks just kind of preloaded. I always use the same thing for people when they come in and they get mad at me for not playing. Is if you want to just watch straight gameplay, there's plenty of YouTube out there that is literally just gameplay. Like that is what I use for background videos when I'm doing like my videos on TikTok. I'll just put in no commentary gameplay and I'll just take random clips from it just to have some examples of what I'm talking about. And they'll get so mad at me and it's like, why are you watching a live streamer if you don't want the live streamer in the live stream? Like there's no point in watching that if you're not interested in what the person has to say. If you're not interested in what I have to say, that's different. But like, if you want me to just shut up and play, why don't you just watch gameplay? Now I do tend to talk a lot, so I can 100% understand that. I talk way too much, but that's just kind of the thing that I do. And I'm okay with that. Although talking too much is a bit of a nightmare when I'm making content, because if I'm trying to make a 30-second video... Uh-oh. Run. Just run. Just run. Is there anything here? I already put in a request last week, but we absolutely must have a replacement ID wristband. Excuse me. We need one to gain access to certain areas in the main facility. In other words, me and my crew can't get to the places we need in order to do our job right now, so I don't want to hear anyone accusing us of slacking off. Oh, Dakota. Oh, okay. Coda, okay. I'm like, Kotas? Coda, okay. That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. But yeah, people get so mad at me because I talk too much, but that's kind of the point. I mean, I've found through the years of streaming that a lot of the people who are very into watching streams aren't able to have, how can I, like, they aren't able to hang out the way that they want, and so like streaming is their hanging out. And so, like, why would I ignore people coming to hang out with me? If they want to hang out with me, I'm gonna hang out with them. You know, there's a higher percentage I find coming to watch streams of people who maybe, you know, they've been bullied or they have a hard time finding friends, or maybe the friends that they have are in a part in their life where they just can't hang out. Like, their friend might be in a different college, or their friend might have a job and they have nobody to kind of hang out with while their friend's working. And so it's like, this is the place they hang out. So like chatting kind of just makes it more of us hanging out. And so it makes it a bit easier for other people to kind of feel more comfortable wanting to hang out. So I don't understand why people get so mad when streamers talk. That's kind of what we do. I mean, there's a whole thing of just like chatting streams. So what's the big deal? All right, Barack, thank you so much for hanging out. I'll be live tomorrow. I don't know what time, but we're going to be playing some more Elden Ring. If you can't make it tomorrow, I'll be live again on Tuesday. And hopefully I see you soon. Okay. Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, that's cool. Whew. Oh, I thought he had the thing that I need to get out. I guess not. Do not have any. That's the boat I'm in. Like, I have friends, but like, I don't have friends that I get to hang out with on a regular basis. I used to be. I've never been good at socializing. How can I word this that'll make sense what I'm trying to say? I'm very good, like, moments like this where we're chatting and I can talk, and like if we're hanging out somewhere together, I'm very good at like making conversation. It's what I did for a living. One, I was an actor. Two, I was a singer with live band. So like I got good at like shooting the breeze. But I also worked in healthcare where I was going into people's homes and they were people that I didn't know at all. Right? Some people who barely spoke the language, some people who may not have been there, or some people who were very embarrassed to have us come in and help them. And especially as a man, most people, when they think of, you know, nursing care, they think of women. And there's almost like an inherent automatic bias. Like, most people are more comfortable with a woman doing, you know, medical help than they are with a man. And so it automatically puts their guard up. So I got very good at like just chatting casually, even though I might be, you know, changing a diaper and the man or woman may be 40 years old and you know, disabled, and they're asking for help, but they're completely embarrassed by it. But I'll be having a completely casual conversation while I'm taking care of them. So I got very good at that, but I'm not very good at actually connecting. And so I'm one of those people, like, if we're hanging out, I'm great. And then as soon as I walk away, I'm not going to be the kind to like text you randomly. I'm not going to be the kind to call you. I'm not going to call you to hang out. I'm very bad at that. Or like, you know, I see some people that like play online all the time together. I'm not the kind that can do that very well. And so I have a hard time with it. But like, I have those kind of friends that I can like talk to on stream, or that I'll chat to in comments, or they're like, if they message me, I'll be good at talking. But I don't have any friends that I could be like, hey, I'm having a bad day, let's hang out. Or friends that I'm like, hey, I'm bored, what are you doing tonight? Let's go drinking. I don't have any friends like that. And it definitely saves the drama of being forgotten, or like your friends having a life that you're not a part of. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Not that like your friends don't love you. It's they have stuff that they're doing that they don't have time for you. And then you kind of feel bummed out if you have nothing to do and they're not available. I avoid that because I don't have friends to hang out with. I just don't want to play with you noobs. No, Merle. You're just trying to pull it out of me. I want to impress you. If you see me play terribly, then you're not going to like me. That's going to break my heart. Thank you, Baraka. You're probably gone by now, but thank you. I appreciate that. That's really kind of you to say. Every 5 years. It's the same for me. It's the same for me. I have one set of friends, actually. Really funny. I'll play while I talk. A really, not funny, but it's like, it's kind of ironic how things ended up. I auditioned for a show. It was Grease, and I became like best friends with this girl. Her and I became so close. Like, I love her to death. And she was madly in love with this guy. And for years, it was kind of like that whole ongoing joke of like, they love each other. Why don't you just like date him? And she'd be like, I don't love him, and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, her and I were really close. And then they started dating, and her and I always talked. And him and I were friends, but we never talked unless we were hanging out physically. But like, I never texted him, he never texted me, we never called each other. And then as the years progressed, her and I stopped talking. Her and I stopped talking, and me and him started talking. And now he messages me every few months just to see how I'm doing. And I will never hear from her. She'll occasionally like comment on one of my videos, or she'll leave like a comment on my Facebook or whatever. But we don't talk like we used to. And it's just funny because like, he goes out of his way to message me like that. But yeah, it's like once every like 6 months, he'll send me like a 10-minute voice message, and then we don't talk for another 6 months. So it's, I totally get that kind of friendship. I totally get it. Crap. Oh, there's so many of them. Seeing as I'm down the street. But Preston, you're a famous actor. You're a famous actor. You can't be seen with the likes of us normies. What will the tabloids say? No, I'm kidding. No, but like, you know, I'm not good at socializing. I'm not good at like keeping in touch. You know what I mean? I've always struggled with that. It's always been really hard for me to kind of reach out to people. It was easier when I was younger. But it's gotten harder as I've gotten older, and I actually saw this video recently, and it's all tied in. It's all tied in, I promise! It's all tied in. But, like, she was talking about, like, discovering being neurodivergent when you're older. And one of the things she was talking about was, like, how there's a process you go through where, like, you first discover it. Then after you've kind of discovered it, you research it to, like, see all the things that you didn't know. And then you go back, the next step is like you go back to your life and like analyze all of your friendships, all of your relationships, all of like your interactions with the people around you, your school life, your home life, who you are, and you see it in a different lens. And now you start to like make sense of things that happened, and at the same time almost like kick yourself in the butt for having not seen it before, and like for doing or saying embarrassing or stupid things because of the neurodivergence. And it's like that, like like, oh my God, why am I so stupid to not have realized that nobody else sees it this way? And then I said it. And then the next step is feeling almost despair of like, oh my God, am I never going to be able to like feel control or feel normal again, or like that naivety of like, this is just who I am and no big deal. And then eventually you kind of choose to like mask again, or you choose to take it head on and kind of start a new life, or you choose to deny that it was all wrong. You're not actually neurodivergent. Everything's fine. And then you do that for a long enough time that you get exhausted, and then you go back and like reanalyze and then feel that feeling, and you kind of live in that loop of like reanalyzing and trying to learn how to live with it, and then you get burnt out, and then you reanalyze, and then you try to ignore it, and you get burnt out, and you kind of get stuck in that loop. And so like now that I'm older, I go back and I look at all those times when I was very good at like socializing and going to parties and hanging out with people, and it's like I always hated it, but I did it because, one, that would get people to like me. Two, if I was liked, maybe it would make it easier for me to do the acting thing. Three, I was just passionate about acting and excited, and the hyperfixation in acting and seeing the passion in the other artists almost like made me feel like they were just as fixated as I am. And so it's like that made it easier to hang out with people like that. But then all the other stuff kind of came along with it, and I'm like, I don't fit in with anything else outside of the art. And so I've never been really good at the socializing thing. That's always been a big struggle for me. So don't take it to heart, man. You know I love you. Preston, for anybody who doesn't know, Preston is actually somebody that I've known for quite a few years. We've done a lot of theater together, and he's somebody I look up to immensely for like work ethic and just like how kind-hearted he is. Like if you want to meet like the kindest person in the world, Preston is among the top. He is such a kind person. Speak of the devil, John No there. He is somebody that I grew up with. I've actually known John for forever. Oh God, we've known each other since we were like 12 or something. 11, 12, something like that. I used to go to his house. His mom made me the best waffles ever. I loved his mom always making me waffles. And then his sister used to cook sometimes, and it was always really good. John is somebody I grew up with. I've known him for forever. But John can attest I'm really bad at keeping in touch with people. And I've known him forever, and I still consider him one of my like lifelong friends. And I'm horrible at keeping in touch. John can totally attest to that. I can't leave the stream. It's too entertaining. Yeah, Merle, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. My parents ignored it. Same thing for me. Uh-oh. 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 Oh, this isn't good. My parents ignored it, and not only did they ignore it, they still ignore it. Oh, I'm dead. Oh, I'm dead. I'm gonna die. This isn't good. And I didn't save after the crocodile, so we're just gonna have to do that again. When we were younger. Oh. And it all ties back, John. Let me finish my first thought, and then I'll finish my next thought. The Great May, hello, welcome. What am I talking about? So right now the conversation is just having to do with like, I suck at having friends and keeping friends. And then I was explaining it's my neurodivergence has made it very hard for me to keep in touch with people and have friends long term. But yeah, Merle, same thing for me. My parents now still deny it. Not only do they deny it, but my nephew got diagnosed, and he got diagnosed at 7. I think it was 7. And it was like, it was blatant. Like my nephew is the stereotypical autistic kid. You know, like fully functioning. Like he doesn't have any other kind of disabilities or anything, but the autism is very obvious with him. It's what you would expect autism to look like. That's how he is. And I kind of knew from the start, and he was always kind of, you know, on his own in his own little world. And I would comment, and my sister took it to heart, and she got him checked out because the school brought it up too. And then once the school brought it up, she's like, yeah, we gotta check him out. And then the doctors diagnosed him and everything, fully diagnosed, and has a full plan for the school and everything. And my parents still, nope, he's not autistic. No, there's no way. That's not real. It's all in your heads. He's just a little weird, guys. He's just a little weird, and he's lonely because he has no siblings. That's all it is. He's just weird. And it's like, Mom, Dad, he has an older half brother who is very autistic, and his dad is more than likely autistic too, because they're very socially awkward. And the dad is better because the dad, like me, took performance for most of his life, so he got very good at faking it. But when Walter lets his guard down, it's very clear that he doesn't fully connect the same way that everybody else does. And his older son, my nephew's older brother, he's very, very clearly autistic. He doesn't connect. Like when he laughs, you can just see that he's laughing because he knows I should laugh now, not because he's actually connecting with what we're saying. And so he's like that too. And my parents, complete denial. And the thing for me is they are saying everything they said about me, about my nephew now. That I'm a loner, that I'm hard to deal with, that I don't know how to like just act normal around people. Like if you just like, you have to sacrifice, you have to be a little bit more normal around people and they'll like you. And so like I grew up with that in my ear all the time, so I learned to do that. My nephew, on the other hand, he hasn't had that in his ear all the time, so he's just the way he is. But my parents completely deny it, so I feel you, Merle. I completely feel you. And even now, if I try to bring it up with my parents, they just don't get it. And when I try to explain things to them, my mom just denies it all, like completely denies it all. It's so frustrating. Yeah, Merle, it's the same for me. Like when I'm out socializing, I remember I've brought this up a few times. I'll get back into the game in a second. I promise. I'll get back in a second. So May, I haven't been diagnosed autistic officially. Because I'm an adult, and in our healthcare, adults are not covered, and there aren't very many psychologists, psychiatrists, depending on who you're going to go see, that are willing to even look at you as an adult. And the ones that are going to charge you an arm and a leg, and the ones that charge an arm and a leg have like a 6-year waiting period. And the truth is that if you're autistic, there's nothing they can do. Like it's not like getting diagnosed with like diabetes or like high blood pressure, where it's like, oh, we can change your diet, give you exercise, and make sure you eat well, and then give you medications to control it. There's nothing about that with autism. Like it's about understanding what you're going to struggle with and understanding how to cope with it, and approaching things in different ways to help yourself, and then to kind of just understand the way your mind works a little bit better. But there's no real benefit to being diagnosed as an adult. As a child, it's very beneficial because school, right? Like if you know a child is autistic, it'll help a lot with meltdowns. It'll help a lot with teaching them. It'll help with making sure that you're not going to push them in a way that isn't going to work for them, to give them the best chance possible. But as an adult, I happen to have been ADHD. That I have been diagnosed with that for about 2 years now. But that kind of balanced out the autism thing, making me able to connect a little bit better, because even though I have special interests, the ADHD would also keep me scatterbrained, which allowed me to have interest in other things. And so you can ask John. John and I used to break dance. John used to break dance. I used to pretend like I could kind of do it. And I never really learned anything. And so like that was a hyperfixation for me. And I was really into that for like 2 years. And I'm talking 2 years of like doing it every day type of thing. And then I just stopped and never had interest in going back. And then I used to remix music all the time. And then I lost complete interest in that. And so like I hyperfixate on things, but then I kind of just lose interest in things as well. Photography was one of them. I was really into photography. That's why I have such good lighting and stuff. But then I just stopped out of the blue. I just stopped doing it. And so it kind of balanced itself out. But yeah, it's the same for me, Merle. Masking helped me have a social life. I remember, this is what I was going to get at. I remember lots of times, I've said this before, that I would hang out with my friends and I'd hear them talking with like slang or like acting certain ways. And I would always think to myself, like, why? Like, I get it to act that way when you're in front of somebody you want to impress, right? Like if you're hanging out with your friends and you want to look like you're cool in front of the school or whatever, you're going to talk and act a certain way. Or if you're in front of like a girl or a guy you like, you're going to, act confident, whatever. And like, when I used to talk to girls, I used to I used to talk soft, and I'd always have like this stupid smile on my face, and, I would just talk like this and whatever. And for me, it was, I am turning this on because I am in front of this person. But when I'm in front of this person, I'm going to act this way. But when I would hang out with my friends, like my friends' friends, like John or Alejandro was the third guy that we would, like all three of us always hung out. For me, it would be like, but why are we still acting this way if we're alone right now? Like, we're not trying to show off to anybody. We're just together. To me, that made sense. Like, why are we all still pretending? Except they weren't pretending, I was. And I didn't get that. For me, it was just, that's not how I normally act, but I'm acting this way because that's the cool way to act. And I had no friends growing up until I started to mask. Once I started to mask, I made friends. Once I started to mask, I started dating. Once I started to mask, people liked me. And so it was like, that's how I got my social life. And so it was the same thing for me, Merle. And then once I got out of high school, 3/4 of the way through high school, I kind of slowed down on the masking. I didn't mask as much. I didn't have as many friends as I did. And then I just kind of let it go. And now I have like no friends. I don't really socialize with people. When I'm at auditions, when I'm in shows, I can be super friendly and stuff. But I always tell people, and they always laugh at me, that, yeah, we're going to be friends right now, but as soon as this is over, we're probably never going to talk again. And they think I'm being rude, or they think that I'm almost like trying to get attention. And it's like, no, it's just, that's the way my brain works. And then some of them get really mad at me for it. And some of them eventually see it and they go, oh. And it's just like, yeah, that's just the way my mind works. That's just... Yeah, May, masking is when it's like putting on a mask. You're pretending to be a certain way, so it's a little bit easier for other people to handle you. So other people will like you more, or so other people will not criticize you, or other people will not bully you. It's so other people have an easier time around you, which in turn makes it easier for you. That's kind of what masking is. So like for me, I'll be very, very open. And very not open in like if I think you're ugly, I'm going to tell you you're ugly to your face. Not like that. I'll be open in the sense of like, I am not afraid to like talk about bodily functions, like poop and stuff. That doesn't bother me. Everybody does it. Everybody farts. Like, it's whatever. Now, I'm not going to fart in front of you because I still get embarrassed and stuff. But like, I don't get embarrassed like that. Or if okay. May, I don't know how old you are, but like for me, I wear a wig, right? And so a lot of men have a very, very hard time admitting that they don't have real hair. But I've been on TikTok for a few years now, and everybody's seen me with no hair. And so it's like, I know I have no hair. That's who I am, and I'm okay with that. And yeah, it's still a little bit hard for me because I know people are going to make fun of me for not having hair. And, I was bullied a lot, so it's still a sore spot. But with masking, I have to pretend like it's embarrassing for me to admit that I wear a wig, even though I don't care, because I feel like I look better with hair. So I don't care that I'm wearing a wig. I'm happy that I look the way that I do now. So masking would me being like, oh man, yeah, no, like I'm embarrassed. I don't really want to talk about it. When in my brain, I'm going, why does anybody care? Why is it embarrassing to admit you're wearing a wig? Like today, my daughter has a teacher that helps her. He's only a couple years older than me, but him and I get along really well. And I showed him, I hadn't seen him in a couple of months. And I was like, look at the hair. He goes, wow, you grew out your hair. I was like, no, it's a wig. And he had a moment of like, oh, you're just so open about that. Where in my mind, it's like, I'm bald. So why would I pretend like I'm not? But like that would be masking. That's a lower level of masking, but that would be masking. And so when you're autistic, ADHD is the same thing. You kind of put on a character to make it easier for other people to kind of deal with you. And sometimes it can be really rough because it's exhausting. By the end of the day, you just don't want to do it anymore. And so you're tired and you just don't want to put on that mask. And so it can be hard. And then, in deeper relationships, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here. In deeper relationships, it gets even harder because if you're dating, and then, when you're dating, I don't know how it is for everybody else, but when you're dating, you put on the best performance that you can. You try to be as nice as you can. You show the best that you can of yourself. And then eventually that kind of simmers down and the real you comes out. Well, when you're neurodivergent, you mask. And so even though you're masking, you put on that extra performance to impress the person you want to date, and the honeymoon phase happens, and then you kind of go down to your normal masking level, and then eventually you go down to not masking in front of them, and then all of a sudden you're a totally different person, and they can't understand that. And so dating is a lot harder because now suddenly they look at you in a totally different light, and it's even harder because now they think that you weren't everything you said you were, even though it's like, well, no, because I've been masking my whole life and now I trust you enough not to mask. And then it's just like, it's really multi-layered. It can get very, very hard to deal with sometimes. And it can be very hard to kind of comprehend the world around you. Sometimes you just mask and just deal with it. And it can be very, very tiring in the long run. And so for older people to kind of break that down can be very hard because you've always masked. And especially if you didn't know, you mask and you don't realize you're masking. You're just kind of doing it. And then afterwards you find out, and then you start to discover things about yourself that it's like, oh my God, that's why I do that. That's why that happened. And then it's a very different life all of a sudden. And a lot of things make sense all of a sudden. But now, at least this is the position I'm in right now. I look back at a lot of the things that I did in my life and I'm kicking myself that I wish I would have known earlier, because then I would have approached that situation differently and maybe things would have ended differently, right? Like different relationships, different friendships. They may have been different had I known what was going on and approached it in a different way. My acting might have been in a totally different place had I known the way my mind works, how I could have approached acting to make it a little bit easier for me to kind of fit in for the acting world, instead of just masking without realizing it and then seeing the director or the agency pick up the guy that I was acting with, even though everybody loved my performance, but the agent just didn't like me. And so I didn't get the job or I didn't get hired, and that guy did, but he's not as talented as I was. But he got hired, and why do they want to go to dinner with him? And why does he get invited to go out and go see shows with this guy? And the guy just ignores me. So it's like, that would have made a lot more sense had I known earlier. So that part, that's where I am right now. And it's kind of hard to deal with when you look back at stuff like that. Big realization for me, last thing I'll say, I'll get back to the game. Big realization for me was so John was somebody I hung out with all my childhood, and Alejandro was the third guy. And as we got older, we stayed friends, but we like had our own little groups that we hung out with. Right. And Alejandro and I had a group that we hung out with quite a bit. And I would always notice after the weekend was up, Alejandro and the guys would come back and they'd be like, oh yeah, we did this weekend. We did that this weekend. And I'd be like, why wasn't I invited? In my head going, well, that's weird. I guess I wasn't invited, but I never looked into it. I was just like, oh, okay, I wasn't invited, whatever. And it kind of sucked in the sense of like, oh, I didn't get to experience that with you guys. That really sucks. But I never thought of it past that. And over the last year or so, I started talking to Alejandro again, haven't talked to him in years. And it was that moment of like, it's not that they were my friends. They were Alejandro's friends. And I was the guy that kind of came with the package. And so they wanted to hang out with him on the weekend. And at school, they wanted to hang out with him. I was just there at school. But on the weekend, I wasn't there, so they could hang out with Alejandro without having me around. And Alejandro still talks to those guys now, 15 years later. I haven't said a word to those guys ever. And so it's like, that realization is hard to deal with, because I always saw myself as like, oh yeah, I had lots of friends in high school. I was really popular. It's like, no, I wasn't. Alejandro was popular. I just hung out with him. And that in turn made me popular, but I wasn't actually the one people liked. He was. I was just there. That part is really hard as you get older to get diagnosed with stuff like that, right? Yeah, May. Bullying happens a lot with autism. It can be very hard for people to deal with sometimes. Kids can be very cruel, and autism isn't very easy for a child to understand. And so it's just one of those things where if a kid has never really been exposed to it, it's very easy to make fun of another kid for being that way because they just seem weird. And sometimes all you can really do is just kind of just be there for them when they're feeling down, because there's not really much you can do to kind of help the situation. Ben Waffle, nice to see you. Welcome. Sorry, I was off on a tangent there, everybody. It's kind of what happens. It's part of the whole ADHD thing. Once my brain gets on a track, I can't walk away from it. When I stop masking around my... Yeah, John, it's sorry, I didn't see that till right now. Yeah, it's something that only recently came out. So I got diagnosed with ADHD about 2 years ago. Year and a half ago, maybe. And it was, so my whole life I've dealt with depression. You were around for that kind of stuff. And so I took a lot of meds for that, like trying different meds, and none of them ever worked. And it was just kind of one of those things that, like, no matter what I tried, nothing ever helped. And then my daughter has very severe ADHD, and she has a few other diagnoses. And through the process of learning with her and seeing what she was going through and trying medications with her, I did my own research because I was in nursing school. So I wanted to learn about the medications and stuff. And I started learning about like the different criteria for diagnoses, and a lot of the stuff I checked off. And the main reason I never looked into it is because my brother has ADHD, but he's the stereotypical. He's like the bouncing off the walls, making noises and playing and like being super hyperactive. Whereas I was very, still and quiet, but my brain was always going. I was always like, having a million things go through my mind, and I'd have conversations, but I'd be playing a game or I'd be watching a movie and on my phone. Like, I'm always doing a million things. And so I was more of that part, like the attention deficit versus the hyperactive part of ADHD. And so as I'm reading all this for my daughter, I'm starting to realize, hey, this all makes sense. And then the big clincher for me was that a lot of people with depression, or a lot of people with ADHD, get misdiagnosed with depression because sometimes when you're the inattentive type, the depression kind of sets in as a secondary symptom because your brain is always on the go, that you kind of burn out, and then you just sit in that depression slump. And so I talked to my doctor about it, and I was like, I've taken all these medications, none of them have helped. I was like, I'm looking at this, and I wonder if that would be the case. And so we started looking into it, and yeah, I got diagnosed with it, and now I'm on medications for it, and it's helped big time, more than any antidepressant ever did. This has helped. The only downside is that I'm life-wise, I'm in a situation that's not great, so I'm not getting the full benefit of the ADHD medications. But it's made a huge difference. Now, the thing is that now that ADHD is a little bit more in control, the autism symptoms started to shine. And so then that kind of came up. And then when I went and talked to the psychiatrist, she brought that up too. And she's like, have you ever considered autism? And so through talking and all that, they basically said the only option I had was to pay a private doctor. But I can't justify spending $600 just to be told, yeah, you are, and that's it, and wait 6 years for it. So it's more of I'm going to just implement the tools that I've learned about and kind of see if they work for me. And for the most part, they are working. Except because I've become so antisocial, I haven't really tested everything out in the real world. I work night shift, so I sleep during the day. I'm not doing any theater shows. So I'm not around people. So I don't know. So I won't really know until I'm actually actively doing stuff to see if it fully fits, right? I'm pretty positive it is, and the doctor feels pretty confident about it too. But we won't really know if it works until I'm actually doing it. And right now I'm not doing anything. So it's hard for me to guess. But yeah, I didn't know until recently. So nobody else would have known because I just kind of acted the way that I acted, and that was it. But almost everybody has eventually admitted to me that they always thought that I was kind of weird and hard to get along with. And that fits. That's kind of what the whole point is that I don't see the world the way that everybody else does. So it's kind of hard for people to deal with me. You joined at a bad time. Sorry, Waffle. Yeah, Waffle, and that's exactly it. It's kids with autism, they see the world in a very different way. And a big thing with autism is, and this is the thing that I struggle with the most, is I don't always understand how people are going to see the way I act, or that they're not going to, or they get upset about things that I just don't understand why they're getting upset about it, if that makes sense. I've said things in the past that people got really mad at me for. I don't want to go into too much detail because it was something completely inappropriate that I said. I was like 15 at the time. I said something really inappropriate. A bunch of people got really mad at me, and I had a justification for it that made sense to me. But everybody else took it in a very different way, and they got very upset with me. But I didn't understand why. As an adult, I get it, but I just didn't comprehend it. And that's the thing with autism, is that people will get really mad at you. There was a perfect video that explained it on TikTok that I think is a really great example of it. Somebody walks into a room, a neurotypical person, so somebody that doesn't have ADHD, autism, or any of that stuff, walks into a room and goes, "Hey, do you want to come with me to go buy a sandwich?" And then the person with autism or ADHD will go, "No," because they don't want to go out. Like, I'm sitting at home watching a movie right now. I don't want to go out and buy a sandwich. And that's it. And then the person that's neurotypical will get really upset. And then the autistic person or ADHD person will go, "Why are they mad? They asked me if I want to go out." I said no. Except the neurotypical person didn't mean, "Do you want to come with me?" They meant, "Do you want to come with me to eat? Because I'm hungry." And then when you said no, now you're saying you don't want to eat with them. And so you just don't want to hang out with them. And it's like, that's not what they meant at all. And so an autistic person doesn't understand all of that conversation. They just hear, "Do you want to go get a sandwich?" And then they go, "No, I don't want to go get a sandwich." They didn't understand they want a sandwich. The other person wants a sandwich and they want you to join them to go eat the sandwich. And so that's what makes it very hard for children, is a lot of kids are very blunt and they don't have that, like, they don't think 4 steps ahead. And when you're an autistic kid, it's even worse because you don't see it the way that other kids see it. So when you say something that might make them upset, they get really upset. And little kids, because they have no filter, then will bully you for it. And so it can get very hard for a lot of people. Yeah, John, and that's a big thing, right? A lot of, especially immigrant parents, your parents, my parents, Alejandro's parents, we all grew up with parents that have a very different understanding of how to address issues with kids. And so, like, it almost gets swept under the rug. And so that makes it a little bit harder. You're almost expected to act a certain way as guys. Asian cultures, Vietnamese culture is a bit different, but it's still, at least from what I picked up, being around you and from my culture, there's still a certain way that guys should act. And so it's very hard when you're vulnerable or weak that there's nowhere to really turn to. So there are things that we don't ever address. And it could explain why you, me, and Alejandro got along so well, right? Growing up, because we all kind of had issues, but we all addressed them in different ways. And, you 3 were the 3 people that I could be myself most with. And I was never worried about, having to read into what you guys were saying, or like having to worry about what I said around you guys, because you guys accepted me no matter what, just like I accepted you guys no matter what. And so it was like, there was always something like that. And yeah, it's exactly, and there's nothing, it's no hit against our parents at all. Like, my parents are completely stuck in their ways. And like I said, when my mom sees it about my nephew, she denies it 100%. It's no hit against them. It's just the way that they see the world. The downside is now we have to kind of carry that burden and deal with it. If we're going to address it later on, it can be kind of hard to backtrack so much, but it can be worth it. Zach, hello. Nice to see you. Welcome. How are things going? But yeah, it can be really hard when you stop messing around your friends. They called me a little lovely weirdo. Yeah, Merle, and that's kind of, how I still have a hard time not masking around people, because anybody that I have unmasked around, they immediately cut me off. People that I deeply, deeply love and I will unmask around will very quickly prove to me that I shouldn't be unmasked around anybody. I'm kind of in that boat right now. And so, like, it's still hard for me to unmask around people. I still have to put on a persona, and I don't really know how to turn it off. But it's good that you have those kind of friends. It's good that you kind of have that support system, even if it's only 1 or 2 people. Thank you. Oh, I'd never known that it was a wig. With or without the wig, you're an amazing person inside. That's all that matters. Well, thank you, Coda. Thank you. Yeah, I try to be open about it. The whole hair thing. Main reason I try to be open about it is, I think it looks pretty believable. right? Like I look at myself and I'm like, you know what? I think it looks pretty good. This one is a little bit too thick for my liking. I'm going to get a bit of a lighter one in a couple of weeks. But the hair color is right. The hair itself is actually exactly what my natural hair was like. Now this is all my real hair. It's just like the top part. But part of me, because of the masking and all that, part of me worries that other people are going to see that it's fake, and they're going to be, how can I say it? Not that I care that other people will, like, not that I'm not worried that other people will think I'm insecure. That's not what bothers me at all. It's more because I'm insecure about other things, not about my hair. That's never been an insecurity for me. It's just I've always loved having hair. I've always loved doing my hair and styling my hair. That's just something I like. You can ask John. I used to like spike my hair like an idiot. But I've always liked having hair. But I'm more concerned that other people will look at me and think that I'm in denial about it being fake. If that makes sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Like if I'm trying to convince the whole world it's really my hair. No, I don't want people to take a second look at it. I want people to look at me and just be like, whatever, that's just me. I don't want them to be like, oh, he's wearing a wig. But I'm also not like gonna sit here going, no, what do you mean? This is my real hair. No, you could never see me without my hair. I don't care. I'm gonna make a video with the wig off and you'll see the shaved head and everything. And I'll have like the horseshoe thing going on and everything. But I'm gonna do that when I get the new hair. But anyway, but the main reason I'm doing it is because through, and this is part of the neurodivergence thing, through all the study I did about the hair, because getting this it's not as simple as just putting it on my head and that's it. There's a whole routine you have to do with it, and it can be a little bit complex. I can only wash it a set amount of times because it wrecks the hair. I can't brush it like you would brush regular hair. Even washing it, like normal hair, you just scrub it, right? This, I have to go like a full blown, I put the soap on my hair or the shampoo in my hands, and then I have to like pat it down because you have to be super gentle with it. And you can only shampoo it like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, but I sweat a lot. So I try to do it like a couple times a week. You condition it only every few days because you don't want to wreck the hair falling out, because the conditioner gets into where the hair is seated and it'll fall out. You got to moisturize the hair. You got to like leave-in conditioner and all that. Like it's a real hassle. And then you got to glue it on. It stays on for weeks at a time. And so like you got to glue it on and make sure that the glue is on properly and maintain the scalp. And I have to wear a bonnet to sleep. When I play VR, I wear a bonnet. Right now I'm wearing headphones that go over my head, but I've been wearing in-ear headphones because I shouldn't be wearing stuff on top of my head because it's bad for the hair. So it's a lot of work. But through all that process, one of the big things that kept coming up for a lot of people that I don't understand, but whatever, is a lot of men are very, very embarrassed about having to have a hair system. And so I feel like if I'm very open about it, other men who have lost their hair or are thinning or are thinking about doing this will feel less embarrassed to do it privately because I'm doing it openly. And so if I do it openly, maybe somebody else will do it privately and feel a little bit better about it. So that's kind of why I've been more upfront about it. I talk about it openly. I don't want it to be my whole channel. I don't want it to be my whole personality. And obviously, like if I was dating, that would be something I'd be a little bit more hush-hush about with dating, because dating's a little bit different. But there's a lot of people that really struggle with being bald, but are also very embarrassed to do anything about it. Even though women wear hair extensions and they're open about it. They will fully tell you, oh, yeah, I wear hair extensions, or, I wear a wig because, I have short hair and I like long hair. And there's no judgment for it. But if a guy says he wears a wig, all of a sudden, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But it's stupid. And so for me, it's like, no, I'll be open about it. I'll take the bullet of being made fun of or being told that I'm insecure, because maybe Steve down the street might put a hair system in and feel a little bit better about himself, even if he does it privately and nobody ever knows he did it. You know what I mean? Seven, how you doing? Yeah, John, for sure, man. It was Silent Hill 2 you and I did together, right? I think it was Silent Hill 2 that you and I did together. My chat is my TikTok chat. The window expanded in a weird direction, so I can't see half the chat. Hold on. There we go. That's a little bit better. But yeah, I try to be open about the hair thing. Most people have said that they can't tell. I don't know. Like, again, neurodivergence. I'm like I'm fixated on it right now. I can't tell if it's people being nice, You know what I mean? Like, you know when somebody puts on a really terrible outfit and they go, how does this look? And you go, oh yeah, it looks great. Even though it looks horrendous. I don't know if they're telling me that they can't tell just to be nice or if they genuinely mean they can't tell. I personally think for the most part, it's really hard to tell. And, you know, even the hairline is pretty good. I try really hard to maintain it. But I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it just because... Uh-oh. Ah, she's dead. It's over. I'm doing it because I like doing my hair. I like, you know, the time it takes for me, like, brush my hair and try different styles and, you know, do different things. And the fun part about a hair system is I can fully change my hair. One of the things that I always struggled with... So my hair, naturally, in life, when I had full hair... was genuinely like this. It was this thick. My hair was insanely thick. And funny enough, this hair is very, very black. Even when I look at it like on video and stuff, I'm like, it's really dark. But funny enough, this hair has more brown in it than my natural hair has. My natural hair is much, much darker than this hair is. But my natural hair is thinner, so this looks darker because it's so thick. But my natural hair was this thick when I was younger. Like, it was insanely thick. So it was great because it was thick, but it was very limiting on what I could do with my hair. Like, I tried growing out my hair and it was just like a big puff ball because it was just so thick. I also didn't know how to take care of it, but it was still very, very thick. But with a hair system, I can try different styles. Like, I can get wavy hair. I've never had wavy hair. I could get wavy hair and do like a full-blown undercut with like longer wavy hair if I wanted. I'm trying to grow out my sides a bit more so I can go for a little bit of a longer hairdo. I do like that I can do that, which is a lot of fun. I don't think there's anything bad with it, you know? Z-Man, how you been? How's life, man? I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it looks pretty decent. Again, it's a little bit too thick, but I think it's pretty decent. I was very, very nervous. That's why another reason I try to be open for other guys to see it is I was very nervous because you always see the stereotypical dude that wears a wig that's very obvious he's wearing a wig. I actually just saw one recently. I've been like binging stupid court shows, and there was one where the guy was suing, and as soon as you saw him, you knew it was a wig because it was as thick as this and it was as black as this, but the dude was in his 60s. And so it's like, in your 60s, your hair is not that black. And the worst part is that you could see a little bit of the temple hair that was still available, and it was very, very light. So it was very obvious that he had like pitch black hair, and his eyebrows had a little bit of like salt and pepper in it, and the little bit of temple that showed had a little bit of salt and pepper in it. But the rest was pitch black. It was very obvious it was fake hair. And you could see like the perfect outline of where like the sideburns were and stuff. And so like that, in my mind, is what hair systems are expected to look like. Oh, I gotta do all this again. And so I try to be more open about it because I think mine looks pretty natural. And since like other guys can see that, yeah, it can look pretty good. Like it's not as bad as it used to be. You know, it doesn't look like a piece of carpet on your head anymore. Nolan, I agree. I think Resident Evil 2 is a phenomenally done horror game.
No chance.
Oh, John, I'm so excited for the Silent Hill 2 remake. I'm only tentative about it because the big twist in the end to reveal like the conclusion of the story, everybody knows it already. And so it's like, I'm hoping that they will add more to the story. So even though we all know the conclusion, at least the story will still be innovative. And I'm hoping that it'll not stray too far from the original to make it a whole new thing that kind of wrecks it. This is very, very adamant to the original story, but still made it very modern. I'm hoping that they give the Resident Evil 2 treatment to Silent Hill. I'm really hopeful because I think it can be a really good remake. The Resident Evil 4 remake, I think looks amazing. I'm so excited for that.
You sure this is the right way?
Thank you, Seven.
Unfortunately.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think it looks good. I like it.
Wait there.
I thought I looked okay without hair, you know? But now I go back and I look at my older videos and I look at myself now and I'm like, no, I feel happier with the way I look now than I did without hair. Even though I think I looked fine without hair, I like how I look with hair a lot more. Watch it be the UFOs. I'm excited. I'm excited. I think it's gonna be good. Ugh. And this whole Dead Space remake is looking like the reviews I've seen have said that it's really well done. So I genuinely feel like Silent Hill has a good possibility to be really, really, really good. I'm only concerned because it's Konami, and Konami has really let its viewers down quite a bit lately. And so I'm hoping that they won't let everybody down with Silent Hill. I hope they kind of redeem themselves a little bit for Silent Hill. I really hope they do. I really hope they do.
Chew on that, you overgrown son of a bitch.
Evil Within, I played... Did I beat Evil Within? I want to say I beat Evil Within 1. Where are you?
Leon, up here.
Oh, there you are. I want to say I beat Evil Within 1, but I felt it got too action-packed by the end of it. Like, it lost all of its horror appeal about halfway through. And when I play a horror game, I want it to be, like, really, really scary. I thought it was good. I wanted it to be scary. And I lost the fear halfway through.
I'm just impressed you made it in one piece.
Outlast? Yeah. Terrifying game. Terrifying. Such a good game. I hate games where you can't fight back, but that's just a personal taste thing, not anything against the game. But that was a really good game. Resident Evil 2, yeah, phenomenal. Resident Evil 4, the original one, was fun. I like it, but it's not my favorite Resident Evil for sure. I'm hoping Resident Evil 4 Remake will make it my favorite.
They don't sell the monsters. They sell the viruses.
Yeah, I think it's still a good story. I think it was still suspenseful, Evil Within, and had that, like,
Far more dangerous.
horror light, I guess. But it didn't have, like, the Outlast style horror. Like, you know what I mean? Like, where you're genuinely, like, terrified the whole time you're playing it. But it was still a fun horror game. Kind of like the one you said there. What did you say? What did you say? What did you say? Oh, no, I thought you said it. But oh, yeah, Last of Us. Kind of like Last of Us. Last of Us is horror, but it's not, like, terrified I'm going to die. Instead, you're invested in the story. I felt like Evil Within was more like that. Z-Man, coincidentally, I shaved my head around the same time your vid came. I saw that. I saw the video about you showing your mom your tattoo. Yeah, I saw you shaved your head. You know, and like I said, I liked having a shaved head. It just would have been nice if I had a shaved head as an option instead of as the only option. Because I always liked doing my hair. I loved getting up in the morning and trying a hairstyle. I loved going to the hairstylist and getting a new hairstyle, trying something different. Right before I fully started going with the buzz cut, like I had like I used to call it the modern mullet, the modern mohawk. It was a thicker mohawk and it was bushy. I didn't have like spikes. It was more of a bushy mohawk, and I grew the back long. And so it, like, the top of my head was spiky, and then it slowly kind of like flattened out at the back, and it was almost like a mullet in the back, not long enough, but just slightly long in the back. And then once that started to really show the bald spot, I was like, that's it. I can't do much more except for buzz cut at this point. But I always loved it. Even now, like today I had a bit of a bad hair day. Not that it's noticeable to anybody else. It was noticeable to me. I had a bit of a bad hair day. I couldn't get the hair to do what I wanted. But even with a bad hair day, I still have options. When I was shaving my head because I was bald, there were no options. It was shaved head. That's it. There's nothing else I can do. And the one thing, actually, no, I can do that again if I have to. The one thing I always tell people that is the big difference for me, we can see this. We already see this. In the morning, I wake up and I shower. I'm a morning shower person. So I get up, shower. But when I was shaved head, I would shower, get out of the shower, and I looked exactly the same as I did when I went into the shower. There was no difference. I didn't feel like, now I'm clean and fresh and ready to go. And then I'd go and get dressed and everything, and I'd shave my face or, trim my mustache, whatever I was doing at the time. I'd like trim my eyebrows, and that was it. But it wasn't really noticeable that I had done anything. I looked exactly the same as I did as when I woke up, except maybe some of the sleep in my eyes gone now. Whereas now it's like I get up, I've got bedhead, and my hair is kind of a mess. I can like run my fingers through it, and it kind of looks neat. I could go out with that, but it's like you could tell I just woke up, and then I go and I shower, and I take the process to like put stuff in my hair and comb my hair and get it styled, and then I get dressed and I'm like, now I feel refreshed and I look like I got ready for the day. Whereas when I was bald, it's like I could literally just roll out of bed and throw on clothes and go out, which convenience wise is great. But at the same time, I never felt that like transition into I'm ready for the day. And I missed that. And now that I have it, I'm so happy I have it.
You can run, Annette.
Yeah, 7. Have you been watching the show? There's only one episode so far, right?
But you can't.
Oh, John, don't even get me started on Metal Gear. My heart broke with that series. I was such a big fan of that series, and I never beat 3, funny enough. But like I was such a big fan of that series. And then I played 4 and I really liked that one. And then they came out with Peace Walker was the handheld one, and I really liked that one. And then they did the Phantom Pain. They did the other one. I can't remember, you know how they did like the longer demo and then they did the full game? I played the longer demo and I was kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then the full game came out and I played it for about 2 hours and I hated it. I hated every second of it. The voice change, the gameplay change. I hated it. I was so disappointed by the end of it. And then they came out with a stupid horror style game. And it was just like, you spit in the face of, like, I get it. You're trying to get back at Kojima, but like, you spit in the face of all of us. That's not the Metal Gear we loved. I was so disappointed. There's 2 episodes. I haven't seen either of them. I want to. I just haven't sat down to watch it. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow. I really want to because I love the guy. I don't remember his name, but I never watched. I watched a couple of episodes of the Boba Fett show. I don't remember what it's called, or not Boba Fett, but whatever. Mandalorian. I watched a couple of episodes of that. I really liked that. But I watched him in the Escobar show, Pablo Escobar show that he did, and he is a phenomenal actor. So I'm excited to see him in this show. I'm really excited. Yeah, Pedro Pascal. Yeah. Oh, he's so good. He's so good. Oh, I have such an actor crush on him because he's everything that I wish I was on stage. Do I play Dead by Daylight? No. I'm not really into the whole competitive thing with games. I don't really have friends that please, I have friends in chat right now. I don't mean it that way. I mean, like, I don't have people that I actively play with. I don't like playing with people, really. Like, I think Girl Thulu is like the only person I've ever really played games with outside of like playing with Alana or my brother. And even then we only played a few times. I'm not very good at playing with other people. And so Dead by Daylight, you kind of have to, or you have to play with strangers. And playing with strangers isn't fun for me, and playing with friends isn't fun for me. So I just don't really play games like that. Yeah, Nolan, there was a couple of cool things they showed at that Silent Hill thing. I'm really tempted to buy some of the little dolls that they had for Silent Hill, but they're expensive. But yeah, I'm really excited for the Silent Hill stuff. I hope Konami doesn't wreck it. I really hope they don't.
It's secret weapon time.
Yeah, he's in everything just because he's so good. My concern is Hollywood has a really bad habit of taking one actor that everybody loves and then kind of just shoving it down our throats until everybody hates them. I'm really scared they're going to do that with him because he's so talented as an actor. There are other actors that they've shoved down our throats, like the guy that did all the Jurassic Park movies and did the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he's now doing the Mario voice. That guy, they shoved him down our throats. I never really liked him. I was like, whatever. I didn't dislike him. He was just kind of whatever for me. He was just the average actor. But Pedro Pascal, I think, is a genuinely skilled actor. And I don't want him to be overdone and get burnt out because he's so good. He's so good. Another bad Rock movie, right? That's another one. Rock is somebody that I'm like, yeah, at first. And then eventually I'm like, yeah. Now I'm kind of like, okay, another Rock movie. I don't dislike the guy. It's just I've had enough with Rock for now. Yeah, Nolan. They're making another Silent Hill movie. Now that one I am worried about. I don't think it's gonna be good. Only because the original Silent Hill movie that came out, I liked it, but like most video game movies, nobody else did. Gamers liked it. and even gamers were pretty upset with it because it wasn't true enough to the story. It was close, but not close enough. And outsiders that don't play video games didn't really grasp what was going on. They didn't understand that the movie's supposed to be really nonsensical. And then they hired the same director to make the movie. And I'm just really worried that he's going to do the same thing and kind of just reimagine it in his own way without really being careful with what the audience wants. So I'm worried that that movie's not going to be good. I won't be surprised if it's not good. That's what I'm going to say. Nolan. Now this is one where I will 100% take the L on it. I liked Return to Raccoon City except for Leon. I hated Leon. I liked Return to Raccoon City. But I am an ultra Resident Evil 2 fan. Like, Resident Evil 2 is my all-time favorite horror game. And it's among the top 3 of my favorite games ever. Like, I don't have the 2-disc version, the big 2-disc jewel case version. I have the collectors, the classics or whatever. Like the green jewel case PlayStation of the original PlayStation 2 Resident Evil 2. Actually, John was the person that we all split with. John, Alejandro, and I, we all bought the PC version of Resident Evil 2. And then I've got the remake on the Xbox, and I've got it on PC. Like, I love Resident Evil 2. That started my obsession with zombies. Like, I've got a zombie tattoo. I've got a whole shelf of zombie stuff. Love zombie stuff. So I loved Return to Raccoon City. I'm also kind of biased outside of my fandom love of Resident Evil 2. I'm also kind of biased because I have like a gigantic crush on Kaya Scoldelario. I don't even know how to say her name. I have a huge crush on her, and Claire is my favorite like hero in any video game. And she played my favorite hero. So to me, it's just like, oh, a match in heaven. So I like the movie, but I'm willing to admit it's a very bad movie. I wish that they would do like a proper Last of Us or Walking Dead style adaptation. Although Walking Dead kind of lost its path halfway through. If you read the comics, there was a lot of really big missed opportunities in the show. But yeah, I wish that they would take it more seriously. I think they're going down that path. I think we're starting to see directors who were fans of the video games actually stepping in and making movies for the video games. Whereas before it was directors who had zero clue, who never played video games, who had no idea what the fandom was about, making games because it was a good paycheck, but not because they actually cared. Now we're starting to see people that actually care. So I'm very excited to see the next like 20 years what's going to happen. But I'd love to see like a proper Resident Evil horror movie. Yeah, I liked the first Silent Hill, John. I liked it. I didn't think it was bad. But there was some stuff that I think a lot of fans, like I know overall it didn't get a very good welcome. I liked it. I thought it did a good enough job following the lore. You know, a big part of it is just like the stupid fandom crap that if you replace a guy character with a girl character, all of a sudden it's the end of the world. You always have those toxic people. I thought it was good. There were some things that I was kind of like, that kind of felt weird. Like the ending, the conclusion. I don't even remember fully what it is. I just remember that she's kind of there, but she's like in a different like dimension or something. I can't remember exactly what happens. So some of it was kind of like, that's kind of weird. But overall, I was like, I like this movie. I just know it wasn't received well. And so like the outsiders didn't like it because they're not fans. And so to them, it was just like a weird horror movie that wasn't really that great. And then to the fans, it was like, yeah, it's a decent movie, but it's not exactly what we wanted. And then they hired the same guy. So I'm just concerned that it's going to have the same welcome where it's like the outsiders won't get it and the insiders are going to be like, it's not right. That's my only real concern with it. I'm still going to watch it no matter what. I love Silent Hill, so I'm still going to watch it, but I'm just worried about that. That's the only part. Yes, she is, John. Yes, she is. All right, 7. Don't crash. Don't crash. Stop. Pull over your car. I am the police. That was so believable, guys. She has no clue that was me. Oh, man. You might be, Nolan. I don't know. I read the comics before I watched the show, and they really screwed up some of the characters. Like Daryl, I love. I think Daryl's great. I hated what they did with Carol. Carol dies really early on in the comics. I absolutely hated where they went with Michonne and Rick. I thought that was not a good pairing. Their personalities just never felt authentic to me, of like authentically being in love. It just never felt authentic to me watching them. If spoilers for anybody who hasn't read the comics and is planning to, you've been warned. I'm going to talk about the comics a little bit. In the comics, he's with Andrea, and they make a lot more sense because they're both broken people, but broken in like complementary ways, and then they both become stronger together. Whereas Michonne and Rick in the show were both very bullheaded, strong people, and they didn't feel like they balanced each other out. And I hated what they did with Andrea, where they killed her off because she was with the governor and she was always just a piece of garbage. Whereas in the comics, she's a flawed individual, but just she's flawed, but she's flawed in trying to do all the good things that she should be doing. Whereas in the show, she was just a toxic person. And I hated that about her. The little girl surviving, I get it. It's a little bit too much to do for a TV show, but in the comics, she gets shot as a baby, and that's what breaks Rick. And that was way more impactful for the jail scene than just having Lori die. So there were a lot of like character choices that they made for the show that just didn't really impact the same way that they did in the comics. What's his name? Carl. Obviously, in real life, you can't stop a kid aging. He's going to grow up. But there's a lot more impact when Carl is sitting there and Rick is dying after the jail thing, and Rick is dying and Carl's by himself. It's much more impactful when it's an 8-year-old saying, "You can die, I'll take care of myself. It's okay, Dad. You can go. I'm strong enough," as he's breaking down and crying because his dad is dying. And he's trying to act strong, but he knows that he's scared. Versus a snarky 15-year-old punk kid. It doesn't have the same effect when he's saying, "You can die, I can take care of myself." There's no impact versus an 8-year-old saying it. An 8-year-old telling you that they think they can take care of themselves in an apocalypse after all of his friends and family, in his eyes, have been killed and his dad is about to die. Way more impactful. So there was just some stuff in the show that I felt wasn't as impactful. The whole thing with Negan dragged on way too long. It dragged on way, way, way too long. Negan, the actor, is phenomenal. He did a great job. He did that character. Nobody played the characters from the comics more perfect than he did. He did exactly what Negan should have always been. But they just dragged on that storyline for far too long. I get it. Everybody was hooked and they wanted to watch it. But like, it just felt like it dragged on in a way where it almost felt pointless for some episodes, that it was just like nothing happened today. But overall, it's still a very, very good show. I've rewatched it about 5 times. I haven't watched the last season. It's the only thing I haven't seen is the very last season. So despite all these criticisms, it's still a very well done show that still paid a lot of respect to the original material in a very good way. It didn't just ignore everything. It just tweaked some stuff that I was like, that shouldn't have been tweaked that way. Because like the one thing that they tweaked that I prefer the comic, but I totally enjoyed what they did in the show was with oh my god, I just said his name a few minutes ago and I don't remember his name. With Daryl. With Daryl. Rick and Daryl are like best friends, and they're like the yin and yang, and they're constantly like balancing each other out when they're, you know, trying to do what they can. In the comics, for at least half the comics, it's all done with Tyrese. And in the show, Tyrese was just some guy. Like, he had no impact in the show whatsoever. But Daryl did that role, so Tyrese didn't really matter in the show. Whereas in the comics, there was no Daryl, and Tyrese kind of took that role on. So I like Daryl. I wish Tyrese wouldn't have died the way he did in the comics. I like Daryl, though. So Daryl was definitely a good choice for trade-off. But as far as like Andrea and Michonne, that's the biggest gripe for me. Andrea and Michonne, that was not a good trade-off. They're both... Michonne was a great character. I just didn't like how they tried to make their relationship. It just didn't feel authentic to me. It just didn't hit for me. You love when you stumble on when you're baked as you're listening to me passionately talk about The Walking Dead. Yeah, see, and I haven't watched the last one, but yeah, the Carl thing was kind of weird. I didn't like the killing off Carl thing. Sorry if I spoiled it for you folks. Only because, and this is stupid. This has nothing to do with Walking Dead. This is a really stupid thing. Only reason I don't like it is one of my favorite, like, I guess, teen book series. It's a book that's more dedicated towards teenagers or like young adults. It's a zombie apocalypse book and a series, and it's called Rotten Ruin, and it's about a boy coming of age who grew up during the apocalypse. The apocalypse happened when he was about 1, and then he grows up in the apocalypse, and his brother is what they call a bounty hunter. He goes out and kills zombies, and this kid grows up to become a bounty hunter, and it's his whole process of like learning who his brother actually is because he misreads his brother, and finding out what zombies really are, and like seeing how the world really functions instead of just being a dumb, naive kid. And the reason I hate that they killed off Carl, because in the show, in the books, the kids collect cards, and the cards are all the like the great heroes of the apocalypse, and all the bounty hunters are the heroes. And his brother has a card, and one of the other guys in the town has a card who turns out to be a bad guy, but like he's a hero. And there's like a guy who has a totally different book series. He's also a hero in there. And then he talks about, I think they call him the sheriff, and then he goes. The sheriff, whose real name is Carl, not much is known about him, except that he wears his father's old sheriff's hat and he uses a revolver. Very clearly, they're talking about Carl Grimes. If Carl's dead, he couldn't have been a bounty hunter 15 years later. Thank you very much. That's my only gripe with them killing Carl. That's the only gripe. That's the only gripe I have. It pulled a Game of Thrones. Yeah, that's how I feel, John. That's how I feel. DM, hello. I appreciate you popping in. Sorry, I was talking too much. Have yourself a good day at work. Oh, I'm going to have to look out for that. Inuyugi. How are you, Inuyugi? Hope you're doing well. I'm definitely going to have to look out for that. Yeah, Maggie, I was kind of like, eh. The only part that I struggled with Maggie and Glenn, I loved Glenn. Glenn was my favorite. Out of all the characters in the show, Glenn was my favorite. He was amazing. The only thing I struggled with them is in the comics, Glenn's supposed to be like an 18, 19-year-old kid. And in the show, they said he was 18 or 19. But Maggie didn't seem like a 19-year-old. She seemed like a 25-year-old woman. Like she didn't fit the energy or even the look of like a 19-year-old naive kid. And Glenn was supposed to be too. That was the only thing that I kind of had a gripe with that, but it wasn't even a big gripe. It was just kind of like, oh, that's kind of, it doesn't have the same, oh crap, the same believability of stuff, I guess. But yeah, I thought they were okay. Yeah, there was just like little differences that I was kind of like, I would have done that differently. But overall, I did like The Walking Dead a lot. But I love zombie stuff. I remember I watched the first 2 seasons because I got into it afterwards. I watched the first 2 seasons consecutively, and I was blown away because I've always looked for zombie movies and horror stuff to watch. And when my brother showed me the show, I thought it was just going to be another tacky horror movie. And then I saw how good it was, and I was just blown away. I hate that people are fed up with zombies because I can never get enough about zombie stuff. Okay. This time I was more careful, so we didn't die as easily. Did we get all of them this time? I think I didn't trigger one of them. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed The Walking Dead. I know a lot of people that I know in real life were not fans. After like season 5, they just hated it. I was kind of whatever. Like I said, I felt the Negan stuff dragged on, so that kind of, it made it hard for me to watch. I have a short attention span, right? And so when something that happens in about 6 issues in the comics takes like 7 or 8 episodes, it's like you could have done that in 1 episode. That can be a little bit hard for me to endure. But yeah, overall I liked it. I still like it. I even started watching Fear the Walking Dead, and for the most part, I like that show. There's a couple of things that just really bother me about the show, but that's more about just like the story arc, not actually anything to do with like the show itself. And when I mean story arc, I mean like that character, that choice was so stupid. Why did you do that? That kind of thing. Okay. Oh. Sorry, I've been super chatty today. Okay. I swear there was like another 1 or 2 zombies. Where did they go? Now I remember why I don't like wearing these headphones. They hurt my jaw.
Got you now.
God, she reminds me so much of Juliet from Lost for some reason. Now that's a show that's like so terrible it's good. Oh God!
Decent bastard, aren't you?
Open. Oh God. Oh. Oh God, is there somewhere I can run around, like turn around? Is there somewhere I can dodge him? I hate this guy. I hate this guy. I hate this guy. Can I go down? Oh, I screwed up. Oh, I screwed up. Ugh. Go, 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 go. Run past him. Give me a second. Give me a second. Yes. Okay. Whew. I'm so excited for Dead Space. Oh. Come on. Is he? Okay. We're good. We're good. Oh. Give me a second. Okay. Hey, save point. Yes. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, thank goodness. I don't want to have to do all that again, even though I spent half of it talking. That was like 10 minutes worth of work, but it took me over an hour because I didn't stop talking. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It says 7 hours to get here. Like, it took me 7 hours to get here. Guarantee you it was only like 15 minutes of actual gameplay. Not 15. It's probably like a 3-hour section of the game, but so much talking and wandering around. Okay, so... Oh, I remember this. I remember this. Oh, I gotta stop playing soon. With the new wristband that's just arrived, we can finally begin our survey of the demolition area. As the report of the other day about the incinerator, it's nothing really. Probably just a large piece of leftover trash. I'll go take a look myself after I wrap up this report. Oh my god. That's something that I don't understand, John. I think speedruns are awesome. There's a guy that I follow. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's called Summoning Salt. He's on YouTube. He does videos where he talks about the history of games, like with speedruns of games. He's only got like 9 or 10 videos out, something like that. But I started following him when he had 120 followers or subscribers, and he's over at like over 1 million now, because he does like thorough research on like who set the first world records, and then how the world record got better, and what techniques they found and how they made that better, and then the competition between like the 2 best and all that. And then he ends off with where the world record is at the time of his recording. Super interesting. But some of those world records are insanely long. One of my friends, when I first started streaming, he had about 8,000 followers, 8,000 subscribers on YouTube. And when Mario Odyssey came out, he started speedrunning it. And I think he was at something like 1 hour and 20 minutes to beat the game. I couldn't wrap my mind around doing a speedrun that was over 1 hour long, because you could be at like the 1 hour and 5 minute marker, 15 minutes left of the speedrun, and then you screw up and the whole run is out the window, and then you got to start again. And so like if you're doing a 3-hour stream, you get maybe 3 chances at it, and that's it. Unless you screw it up early on, but usually the ending is where like all the hard stuff comes up. And I couldn't wrap my mind around it. The only game I ever learned to speedrun was Super Mario 64. But I did the 16-star run, and it's like, or is it 16 stars? I think it was 16 stars. And it's, the world record's like 14 minutes or 15 minutes or something like that. But like an average novice can get it done in about 20 minutes. And so it's like, I can do 20 minutes because in a 3-hour stream, I can restart that 3 times an hour. And, and you can screw up pretty early on. So it's like, you can start within a couple of minutes, whereas like 1 hour plus speedrun is insane. So when they do games like this, where some of it is just timing based, where like you cannot rush it, I don't even know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. Yeah, and the amount of skill for some of the stuff that they do, like the Mario 64 one. Again, I'm not a professional. There are stuff that I can't do in the speed runs, but some of the skills that you have to practice for hours and hours and hours to land one jump blows my mind. Blows my mind. Oh God, this is gonna suck. I don't even remember what I'm supposed to do. Can't even do anything with this until it starts. But yeah, there are some speed runs that just are insane. There's the whole Rock Band community. They do speed runs of songs where they play the song at like 150 times speed, and it just sounds like a bunch of jarbled garbage. You can't even tell what song it is, and you see these guys playing it, and they're playing it almost flawlessly. It's mind-blowing what these guys can do. Okay, here we go.
Bravo. Gonna burn me alive now?
You'll never get your filthy hands on the G.
I'm not the only one after it.
Where's that line
Who
go?
knows that?
Goes to there.
And you won't die alone.
Oh God. Where does that line go? I can't see where it ends up. Oh God, I'm gonna die. I'm not gonna make it in time. Ah, here's one. Okay. What did that do? Oh, okay. Oh, I screwed up. We're not gonna make it. Did I screw this up too? Oh God, 20 seconds, come on! Oh, we're not gonna make it. There's just no way. There's just no way. Oh, that was so close.
She knows what she's doing.
was so close. That was so close. I really thought I wasn't going to get that. That's awesome. Okay, I'm so happy about that. I'm so happy about that. Okay.
Visitor clearance confirmed. Your ID is authorized until October 1st. Please return before this date.
Not gonna happen.
Okay. Gotta stop soon. Oh, I don't think I have any ink, right? Yeah, I don't have any ink. Oh, I hope I find somewhere to save soon.
Enough with this cat and mouse game.
The game is over.
You lost. Tell me,
Coda, you just made me feel so
is your
old.
husband still alive? Or did you kill him so you could take credit for cheating?
Oh, just a second.
Interesting theory.
You don't cooperate. I'll get a sample from the nest.
Over my dead body.
Ooh.
Where's Leon?
Oh, come on. Hey, Phoenix, thank you for sharing that live. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Give me just a second, Coda. Oh no, I can't see. Hold up. Nikki, thank you. 30 months. Wow. 30 months, Nikki.
Ada?
Thank you, Nikki. I hope you're doing well.
Damn it.
So Coda, in 1998, when he was 16, in 1998, I was 12. So I'm only a few years younger than your dad. That makes me feel so old. 3 times a day. Holy crap. I never speed ran this game. I was just young enough that it still scared me. But I was never really into speed running until I got way older. I didn't know that was a thing. I was more of the like, when I would play a game, because back then, your dad's probably told you, back then, buying video games wasn't as easy as it is now, unless you were wealthy or like well off. But I was poor. I was an immigrant family. So buying video games didn't come very easily for us. So like we'd get maybe 1 game a year. And when you got that game, you played the ever-living crap out of it. For example, the Metal Gear video game. My brother got that for Christmas one year, or for his birthday one year, but we got a demo of it. That's when my brother bought it, because we got a demo of it in a magazine that we got at a corner store. It was like a 20-minute demo. It was just one section of the game. If you ever played Metal Gear Solid on the PS1, it's the beginning of like when you do the entrance area right before the elevator, then you go up in the elevator, and then you like want to reach the main bay or whatever. It's just out in the snow area. That's all it was. That little section. You could do that in 2 minutes. That was all it was. My brother and I spent hours playing that section, tricking the guards in different ways, exploring different sections, and looking at all the different items and elements in the game. That was the more of the player I was. I wasn't rushing the game. I was play every little ounce of the game that you could. But yeah, I remember when this game came out, the first time I saw it, my cousin he was about 16. He was 15, I think. And his neighbor called him, and his neighbor was 14, and I was 12, and I was spending the summer there. And his neighbor called him because his family had gone away for the weekend, and he was home alone for the first time. And he rented Resident Evil, and he started playing, and he was too scared. So he called us over to come hang out with him. And I watched just the intro after the car crash, and you walk over to the gun shop, and I was terrified but in the most fun way ever. First thing I did is when I got home after spending the summer with my cousin, I rented that game and I played it like crazy. It was life-changing for me. It was life-changing for me, but I never, ever did a speed run with it. John, have a good night, man. Thank you for hanging out. I hope we can hang out soon. Now that the world is a little bit calmer than it was, although I'm living in the falls now, so it's a little bit rougher getting out there. But yeah, I hope we can hang out soon, man. Have yourself a good night. Hey, Weewin. How are you, Weewin? How's life? How are things? Okay. I got like 10 more minutes before I have to stop, so
Ada, where are you?
let's make a little bit of progress here. Unless the safe spot's like right around the corner, then we're going to stop. Because I don't want to go another half an hour without knowing where to go. Yeah, we came down the elevator, right? No, we didn't come down the elevator. We came through that door. The elevator is what I just turned on, I think. Oh my god, we win. Oh my god. And it's super early. Oh, it's right here. Yay. Do I have a safe? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I know that feeling though, Weewin. I know that feeling. I've been trying so hard not to play the game. I've been trying so hard not to play the game. And I haven't touched it. But I'm really looking forward to playing it now that I've beaten Margit and I can move forward. I'm really excited for it. Although right now I've been hyper fixated because I've talked about this a few times. Everybody, I'm pretty much done playing, so I'm just gonna chat for like 5 more minutes and then I'm done. I'm gonna go here for YouTube, TikTok, or YouTube, Twitch, or whatever. I was obsessed with Minecraft, and then I stopped playing Minecraft, and then recently I've really wanted to play it again. So I was playing it through Game Pass, but I couldn't afford to pay the monthly thing, so I bought Minecraft, and I played 1 day in VR. And Nora wanted to play, so we started a world together, and I was playing in VR. We played for about 2 hours. I was in VR, she wasn't, and we played, and it was awesome. And then it stopped working. They released a new update, and I don't know what it did to my computer, but it won't work in VR anymore. I've spent the last day and a half trying so hard to get it to work. And the worst part is, because I was so fixated on trying to fix it, I deleted my world with Nora. And we had just built our base. We were starting to design like the interior of it. And I deleted it. And I'm so upset about it. I didn't delete it. The game, I tried to refresh the game, and in the process of refreshing the game, it deleted the save file. And so our world is gone, so we have to start again. But I can't get the stupid VR to work, and I don't know why. Because it used to work fine. And it's still, I've gone in their forums and on their Discord and stuff, and nobody's talking about it. But for some reason, it just won't start for me. So I've been super like hyper fixated trying to fix that, because I really want to play more. But I haven't been able to fix it. I might have to just give up and play it without VR, which kind of sucks, because the whole thing is I like playing it in VR. Oh well. And you always let him beat you. Okay, so if he's 41 and you're 19, so he was about 22 when he had you. Yeah. So I have 2 kids. I have one biological daughter and one stepdaughter. And my biological daughter I had her when I was 19. And well, I didn't have her. Her mom had her when I was 19. And so when I am 41, oh my God, Jesus. She's gonna be, oh God, if I was 19 and 41, what's 19 plus 20, 22, 22? She's gonna be 22 when I'm 41. She's gonna be around 22. So it's not that far off. My kid's gonna be older than you are when I'm your dad's age. So, yeah, my brother and I are the same way. My brother and I had to fight for turns. We had games that were specifically ours. Like Final Fantasy VIII was my game. Metal Gear was his game. Like we still played each other's games, but still. Resident Evil was my game, and then eventually he got Resident Evil, and it was kind of just like that the whole time. And even for streaming, we used to stream together once a week, and we always played Dark Souls games together. Him and Alana are the only people that I really ever consistently play with when it comes to video games. He's the main one because him and I grew up together, and our big thing with like Super Nintendo and PlayStation was to find co-op games because we loved playing co-op games. We hated that there wasn't that much. And then PC games started to pick up, but co-op still wasn't a thing. It was always competitive. Co-op has picked up a lot more now, but for a long time, it was always just competitive stuff. So I feel your dad. I feel your dad. Yeah, the benefit also is we grew up with video games, so a lot of people around my age are more into video games than like my parents. My dad played video games with me up until I was about 8 or 9, and then he stopped. And then he played with my brother. They played Max Payne together. And that was pretty much the only thing. And then after that, my dad stopped and he just never touched video games again. So it's always heartwarming for me when I hear that kids are, you know, they have their parents that play video games. My daughter, same way. We play Minecraft together for hours and hours. Video games are awesome. You wish you were 19 again? I don't wish I was 19 again. I wish I was like 23, 24 again. In my mid-early 20s. That's when I think was a really good time. And even like my late 20s, early 30s was pretty good. Like I was the strongest I'd ever been. I felt the most motivated I'd ever been. And I had money. Like it wasn't just like young kid money. Like I was working when I was in my 20s, but I was always broke. But like when I was about 28, 29 years old, it's like, no, I had money and my bills were paid and I still had money. So I liked that time, but my early 20s, like 22, 23 years old, I was acting all the time. I had enough responsibility, but not full responsibility yet. And I was always doing theater shows and I was on stage. I was doing 2 or 3 shows a year, plus my band. And that time was fun. That time was fun for me. I miss that time. And I miss having the energy. I don't have the energy to do that stuff anymore. But I used to do, with my band, we would perform, usually it was Friday, Saturday with my band. And then I was doing plays. And so like I would literally do a play. And then as soon as I'd get off the stage from the play, I'd get in my car and hop over to wherever I was performing with my band and then do a show with the band. And then I'd rehearse the play every single day of the week. And then with my band on the weekends. And it's like I was on the go all the time. I don't have that energy anymore. I miss having that energy. I think that's the thing I miss the most. Oh, man. Oh, that's horrible, Nikki. That's horrible. You go around 10 or 11. I work nights, so I'm usually asleep at around 4 or 5 in the morning. Usually 4. If I'm off work early. If I'm at work until 4, I usually go to bed around 5:30, 6 in the morning. And then I'm up by like 11:30, 12 o'clock. And then I'm up for the rest of the day, which kind of sucks because it's only about 4.5, 5 hours of sleep, like solid sleep. So it's not enough to feel fully rested. But it's enough that I can go throughout the day, and it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks being tired all the time. Oh, man. Me too, Savage. I actually really, really like the way he looks in this. I prefer the way he looks in this to his original look, actually. And I didn't think I would because his original look is so iconic, but I do prefer his look in this. Claire's is pretty close, so I still like Claire too. Chris Redfield, I don't remember what he looks like in, is he visible in number 3? I can't remember. But like when they went from Chris Redfield in like Resident Evil 1 to Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 5, I hated the change. I did not like the change for Chris Redfield. Oh, he's in Resident Evil 8. I don't like what they did with Resident Evil 8 either. I'm not a fan of how Chris Redfield looks. The remake for him I didn't like. I do like the remake for Leon though. The body armor in the original. I mean, in the original Resident Evil 2, I mean, he was a cop, right? And what he wore in, if we're talking about Leon, what he wore in Resident Evil 2 was very akin to what cops wore at the time. So it was pretty accurate for cops at the time. I mean, the game's from 98, right? Cops dress differently now than they did then, but yeah, I'm not a fan of what they did with Chris. Not a fan with what they did with Chris. Anyways, oh, that's the worst, Nikki. I'm lucky. I've only ever had like 1 or 2 migraines in my whole life. I get a lot of headaches, but not migraines. That really sucks. I still didn't like. I liked his personality in 8. I didn't like his model. I didn't like his model. His personality was really good in 8. I loved him in 8. I loved 8. I thought 8 was amazing. I just didn't like the model. I grew up with Resident Evil 1, right? So the Resident Evil 1 Chris was an average guy. kind of like Leon, just like an average cop. Whereas like he almost became superhuman soldier, Arnold Schwarzenegger style. And so I'm stuck on the old Chris. And so when I see the new superhero kind, I'm like, I prefer the old Chris. But I did like his character way better than 5 and 6. 5 and 6, it was just, he was too much of a superhero. Whereas like 8, he was a realistic hero, if that makes sense. I do like him though. I do like him. I just didn't like his model. But again, I'm stuck on the old Chris, right? But yeah, no, I think the whole remaking path that they've been taking has been good. I really like the remake path they've been going with because it's scary, still has some action, but it's still very horror based. Whereas like 5 and 6 became very action star, blow up everything you can, and it's an action horror movie. I didn't like that. I do like what they're doing with it now though. Yeah, it's the same here, Nikki. It's the same here. A lot of people have a lot of migraines here because of the weather. Especially because we get a lot of like heavy rain at times and then sunshine a few hours later, so the pressure changes cause a lot of migraines here. Weird enough, the first time ever in my life, I might be naive to this, but I've been living in Canada for 36 years, 35 years, I don't know. Anyway, the first time ever, yesterday, we had a snowstorm. There was lightning during a snowstorm. I've never seen that happen. I was blown away by that. Yeah, I think the only criticism I had about 8 Savage is, and it's not a criticism, it's just not my cup of tea, is they did what they had done with the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, where it's like the first movie had 1 bad guy, the second movie had 2 bad guys, the third movie had 3 bad guys, and by 3 bad guys it felt like too much. And Resident Evil 8, like the Resident Evil 7 was like, oh, there's 3 bad guys. Resident Evil 8 just felt like there was way too many people going on that I didn't feel a connection with any of the bad guys, if that makes sense. Like the weird humpback guy, for me, he just came out of nowhere. So I felt nothing about him by the time I met him and killed him. And what's her name? Lady Dimitrescu or whatever. She was phenomenal. And then she died so early on in the game. And I was just like, she was great. That should have been expanded more. And then Heisenberg was good, but it was like, I didn't feel the fear/disdain that I felt for Lady Dimitrescu. I don't know how to say her name, but her. Heisenberg, it's like, no, he could have been something that like it could have grown to something bigger. I just felt there was too many bad guys. That was the only thing that I was like, I wish it would have been more concentrated on the few rather than spread thin on the many. But like even with that, I still thought it was an amazing game. Yeah, me too, because she was so well written, and it was that torn feeling of like, oh my god, she's mommy. At the same time, it's like she is so scary, and then it was done so quickly. They could have had her go on and have her build up to be even like scarier by the end of it. And then it was like Heisenberg's there, and it's kind of like, well, Heisenberg almost felt like he didn't earn the position. And then the little weird guy was like, who the hell are you? Where did you come from? What are you here for? 7 with all those eyes creeping on me. I always feel like somebody's watching me. Wish I could have cited Heisenberg. But I still think the game was great. I think the game was awesome. I think the whole trajectory they've been going with is good. I felt 8 was a little bit, I don't know. Everybody else seems to think that 7 was more action than 8 was. I felt like 8 was more action than 7 was. 7 was slower paced, which allowed more tension to be built up. So I hope that they're not going to fall more into the action with the next game, like with 4. I hope 4 doesn't go even more action packed. I hope it kind of stays at the level of 2. I felt 3 was a bit too much action. I hope it stays to the level of 2, and I hope they gave it the passion that they gave 2. I was really disappointed that 3 it felt more like DLC than a full game. It was great, but it just felt more like DLC than a full game. I hope 4 is a bit more refined, because 4 original was good. I think 4 remake has a chance of being just as popular as 4 original was, if they do it right. from all the angles. Oh man, yeah, Inuyuki. That's exactly it. I felt like it was for speed runs, and it felt like a speed run even when you were playing it casually. It didn't feel like you were. How can I explain it? Nemesis felt like. I don't remember what the word is, but it's like you walk in, you trigger it, and then you walk out, and it's not triggered anymore, and that's it. It didn't feel like it was constantly looming over your shoulders, kind of like Mr. X is on Resident Evil 2, where the tyrant, Mr. X, whatever, he can potentially follow you at any time, and it's that fear of like, oh my god, next corner he might be there, and once he's there, he's just on you until you like figure out how to get away. Whereas Nemesis felt very much like he's nothing to worry about. I know that if I walk in that hallway, that's when it's going to happen. But as soon as I'm out of that hallway, it's over. So it felt very much staged the whole time. And it felt like the intro to a video game, if that makes sense. I always use that to describe Napoleon Dynamite. Napoleon Dynamite, when that came out, if you're not old enough for everybody else to have been there when like the phenomenon of Napoleon Dynamite happened, I learned about it through high school. All my friends were quoting all the time, and I'd never seen it. And then I went out and rented it because I needed to know what everybody was talking about. And I rented it, and then I watched it, and then it ended. And I thought it was charming. I thought it was chuckle funny. It wasn't like laugh out loud funny. But the whole time it felt like the intro to a movie. You know, like when you don't know the characters and it's kind of building up, and then eventually the plot shows up and you're like, oh, this is what the movie's about. Napoleon Dynamite always felt like you were waiting for that moment to happen. And that's what Resident Evil 3 remake felt like to me. It was like the intro to Resident Evil 3, and then it was just over. And it's just like, oh, felt like it never really grabbed me. It was great, but it's like I just never felt that connection, kind of, if that makes sense. Yeah, the baby made the pacing kind of weird. Yeah, for sure. The police station, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, Savage, absolutely. And now back to this angle. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 gave me a lot of PTSD. Resident Evil 7, now, here's the thing. Here's why I'm skewed with Resident Evil 7, because like I said, everybody's saying Resident Evil 8 was scarier than 7, and I found 7 scarier than 8, but here's why I'm skewed about it. Because I played Resident Evil 7 in VR. So I never played it flat screen. So it was far more immersive, and it was when VR was first coming out. So it was my first real full-blown experience in VR. So my brain was still in that magic state where like it felt more realistic than VR actually feels, because it's just so new. Your brain still hasn't grasped what it is. So Resident Evil 7 was terrifying for me, especially fighting Marguerite. That was the worst fear I've ever felt in any video game ever. So when I played 8 and it was on flat screen, it didn't have the same impact on me. And honestly, I would buy the PlayStation VR 2 only for Resident Evil 8 so I could play it in VR, because I want to experience that in VR. I really want to. But Resident Evil 7 definitely caused some PTSD. That was a hard game for me. That was a hard game for me to sit through. But I loved it. Absolutely, Dirk. I genuinely think Resident Evil 7 in VR is the only way to play that game. And it makes me sad that not enough people tried it that way. It also makes me sad that it didn't have full VR support. Because it's out on PC, it wouldn't take much for them to just enable VR on the PC. You know, like Lucky's Tale, the VR version of Lucky's Tale, that was made to play with an Xbox controller, and now they've made it so you can play it with regular the touch controllers or whatever, and there's no real like touch mechanisms. It's just emulating a regular control. They could do the same thing with Resident Evil 7. Just enable the VR and make the touch controllers kind of replace the regular PlayStation controller, and just still continue with your head aiming and stuff and all that. I wish it had full-blown VR. That would make it so much better. But that's the only way that game should be played. And I was really disappointed this game and Resident Evil 3 didn't have VR support because it's the same engine. So you know the tools are there. They have the tools. Obviously, it would need other coding and stuff for it. Because I downloaded a mod for this to play it in VR, Resident Evil 2 to play in VR, and it's really good, but it's not made for VR, so there's some jank to it that makes it a bit less smooth. But Resident Evil in VR is the only way it should be played, because the immersion you feel, even if it's a tacky thing that happens in the game, is crazy. Crazy. Resident Evil 7. Oh, man. 2004, so you were 7 months old. Oh, man. Ozzy, how you doing? Welcome. You probably would, Weewin. I honestly, there was a time, there's a video I have on YouTube. I don't even know how you can find it now because it's so old. It doesn't come up when you search it as easily. But there was a video I did on YouTube where it was all the screams that I had. And what made it worse is it was when my jump scares were really active. I had a lot of people that used to come that loved doing the jump scares on stream. And I was wearing the VR headset, so I couldn't see them chatting and stuff. And the jump scares would happen. And they would do them at the worst times. Like there was a point where I was hiding from Marguerite. I was behind a door and she wasn't coming into the room, but I needed to get into the room she was in. And I could hear her and I was waiting for her to walk down the hall. And so because it's in VR, I can turn my head and follow her sound. And so I'm sitting there going, I think she's in the other room. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I don't want to move because I'm so scared. Like she's going to come after me. And as I'm sitting there freaking out, somebody did a jump scare. Because it was my first time playing. I didn't know if she could enter the room I was in. So when the jump scare happened, I thought she was coming into the room. I lost it. And then by the end of that stream is when I did the Marguerite fight. It sounded like I was shivering because I was so freaked out by the end of it. Like I was genuinely scared by the end of it. Such a great experience. Such a great experience. Yeah, you did a few of those mild heart attacks. It's your fault that I'm taking these now. It's your fault. I'm kidding. Although I did get a doctor's okay, a cardiologist's okay, actually. He gave me the okay that I can get jump scared. But, yeah. I'll try to find it, Weewin, and I'll send it to you if I can find it. But it's, oh man, Resident Evil 7 was amazing in VR. I would have loved to see 8 in VR. I would have loved to see 8 in VR. I know they're doing support for it for the PlayStation VR. VR right now is on a really, really rough patch. You know, Facebook is floundering and the PlayStation VR has been announced and it's more expensive than the base PlayStation digital only version. So like it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of people. I think if Sony announced that the PlayStation VR would have PC support, that would be a very, very good tool for them to use. Because despite it being expensive, it's got the eye tracking, it's got the OLED screens, so it's going to have like full HDR, the really high resolution, the foveated rendering. If they allowed that to have PC support, it would be an easy choice. Because yeah, the Quest, I love my Quest, and it's a great price. But the Quest Pro is ridiculously priced. And so it's not worth the money. The PSVR is in that middle line. It's more expensive than the Quest, but it's less expensive than the Pro, and you get all the same features. And it's wired. And so like you could get a little bit better quality coming out of it. I think if PlayStation were to allow PC support, that would be it. Like they would do a really, really good job with their VR. But it doesn't seem like they're going to, and that really breaks my heart. I do, Savage. I do. And there are still people working on stuff similar to that. I would love to have something like that. I don't have the space in here. The one thing I would like to get in VR is one of those haptic suits. I would love a haptic suit. I think that would be really cool. Oh my God. And the PlayStation VR has the rumble in the head. I had the old PlayStation headphones that came out for the PS3, I think it was, and they had the rumble in the headphones. And even though it's really stupid, it added so much more bass and the explosions felt so much more immersive. I can so see the PSVR having that vibration in the headset, adding just a bit more immersion to like when things hit you and stuff. I just don't have the money to pay for the PlayStation VR. I want it though. I really want it, but I don't have the money for it. Oh well. Anyways, I should get out of here. I gotta go pick up Alana in a few minutes. Any minute now, actually. So I should probably get going. I'll be back tomorrow. Like I said, I have to go to Costco once I get up. So I'm not going to be streaming at my normal time. And I have to pick up Nora after I'm done Costco. So it'll probably be in the afternoon that I'll be streaming. Potentially in the evening. It kind of just depends on how things go. You know, if Nora's had a good day. If Alana gets up in time. Because I don't work tomorrow. So I'll definitely be streaming tomorrow. I just don't know what time. And we're going to continue with Elden Ring. So no more scary stuff. Excuse me. I'm like burping. Savage. It's exactly the same as it is here. Retro for the first time. Exactly the same on all three. Twitch, YouTube, and here on TikTok. Retro for the first time everywhere. I try to keep the name the same so that way it's easy to find me wherever you go. But yeah, I'll be live on all three again tomorrow. And we'll continue with some Elden Ring now that I've actually beaten a boss and gotten somewhere. And yeah, we'll continue with playing and chatting and all that fun stuff. But I appreciate you all being here and listening to me chat away for forever. It was nice. It was a fun stream. Even though all I did was talk and only did like 20 minutes of progress in the game. It was also nice seeing a lot of the familiar faces, you know. I love seeing all the old faces that hang out, you know, and then having all new friends to hang out with is always rewarding. It always feels like, okay, I made progress today because I made a new friend. That I like that. All right, everybody, have yourselves a good night. TikTok, I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. All right, TikTok, goodbye. And YouTube and Twitch, I did 7. We're all getting old. We're all getting old. Oh my God. Getting old sucks. Getting old sucks. Thank you so much, Wade. I appreciate that. Although I went back in time. I went from going bald to having hair, so I'm actually getting younger. I'm getting younger. Nothing made me feel older than watching that 70s show and having all the old castmates show back up and just seeing how they looked. And I'm like, oh, if they're that old, how old am I? All right, everybody, I got to get out of here. I better stop talking. Have yourselves a good night. Hopefully I see you tomorrow. If I don't see you tomorrow, I'll be back on Tuesday. And we'll continue with Elden Ring then too. And then next week we'll be doing Dead Space. I'm gonna hold off on Resident Evil. I want to play some Dead Space next week. Okay, everybody, have a good night. Take care. Thank you for being here. I love you.